family dinner table. That's why I visited Yad Vashem with my family as a senator, as vice president, as president. And that's why I took my grandchildren to Dachau so they could see and bear witness to the perils of indifference, the complicity of silence in the face of evil that they knew was happening.
He said people are in danger of forgetting both the Holocaust and about what happened on October 7th, even though that was just 7.5 months ago.
It was Hamas that brutalized Israelis. It was Hamas who took and continues to hold hostages. I have not forgotten, nor have you.
And while there's been reported tension between him and Israel's conservative Prime Minister, President Biden added,
and my commitment to the safety of the Jewish people, the security of Israel, and its right to exist as an independent Jewish state is ironclad, even when we disagree.
There did appear to be some disagreement ahead of Tuesday about how Israel would move into a final phase of the effort to eliminate the terrorist group Hamas in Rafah. Last week, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the U.S. had not been presented a plan that involved going into Rafah while also protecting civilians, but that they'd hoped to convince Israel to engage in something more targeted. Tuesday, White House National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby indicated something more targeted appeared to be underway.
We don't want to see any operation conducted in Rafah that doesn't properly account for the safety and security of the people that are there, big or small, far or wide. And we're going to be watching this one very, very closely.
As far as talks to end the war go, Kirby says the Israelis have negotiated in good faith.
The Israelis have been operating inside Gaza since October 7th.
Fox News foreign correspondent Trey Yingst.
They first were operating from the air with airstrikes, and then later in October ultimately entered on the ground after that massacre at the beginning of the month. But all of this has to do with Gaza's third largest city of Rafah, where more than 1.5 million Palestinians are currently sheltering. Now, Rafah is a city that sits along the Egyptian border between Gaza and Egypt. It's right there at the end of the Gaza Strip. And traditionally, it has been an area that was used for smuggling. But the Israelis have said on the record over the past several years that they don't believe much of the weapons that are being used right now against Israel have been smuggled in recent years. There was a lot of smuggling in the time of about 10 years ago. It's now been more focused on internal rocket production and the ability of Hamas and Islamic Jihad to build weapons inside the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, but since October 7th, is it possible that things have shifted? Or are you saying that you think they might just be straight up lying, that this is not an area of smuggling and weapons and funds?
They're not still smuggling weapons into Gaza right now, and that's why that statement is interesting from the Americans. They are walking a really delicate line when it comes to support of Israel and their operations inside Gaza. The Israelis, over the past 48 hours, have entered into Rafah, the eastern side. They called on civilians that were living in the eastern side of Rafah to evacuate. It's about 100,000 out of that 1.5 million that are supposed to move to an area called Mawasi, which is an expanded humanitarian zone that is designated by the Israelis, but not necessarily enforced by the Israelis. And when you ask Israeli officials, including those in the military, why they continue to bomb in areas they've told civilians to go, they say Hamas is still operating in those areas. And that's true. They fired rockets from Rafah just about 2 days ago, killing 4 Israeli soldiers near the Kerem Shalom crossing. And so Hamas is operating in the southern part of the Strip still more than 200 days into this conflict.
Wow. The White House says it remains to be seen, how limited this will remain. And they said that as Israel was taking control of the Rafah crossing. And this is happening, as you know, as negotiations over a ceasefire and a release of hostages continues. Out of that, we've learned that, there are likely not even 33 hostages alive to release of the 132 that we thought Hamas still had.
It's difficult to figure out exactly how many hostages are still alive. We know and can confirm based on our reporting that more than 30 hostages are dead. When it comes to the specific number in these negotiations, Hamas has not been clear in who is alive. Now, the Israelis may have that information and not be releasing it to the public, but it's important also to break down what the negotiations have looked like and what the proposals on the table look like. They are expected to come, if they move forward, in a phased deal, which would have up to 3 phases. And the first phase would include humanitarian hostages. And this is defined as women, children, the elderly, and the sick. And then there is a second phase, an intermediate phase, and then finally a third phase, which would include male Israeli soldiers that were taken hostage on October 7th. And so the specific number as it relates to 33 is focused on that first phase. And there's an understanding that many of the vulnerable Israelis that were taken into Gaza on October 7th could be dead. And we don't know how many soldiers are still alive that were taken hostage, and Hamas has not provided that information to give them a small piece of leverage amid these ongoing negotiations.
Trey, do people in Israel see the protests on our college campuses? I think I saw something about the Palestinians or Hamas thanking our college student protesters, but I also see polling showing more Israelis want Trump back in the White House than they want Biden, though neither of them gets a majority. I'm just wondering how our politics is sort of playing out over there. Like, are Palestinians saying, gosh, it seems like President Biden supports them more than they thought? Like, what's sort of your read on that?
Yeah, I think that many Israelis have trouble truly grasping how widespread the anti-Semitism on college campuses is. And they have trouble believing that this could take place in the United States of America, a country that traditionally has been an ally of Israel. And I think that they see this as deep-seated anti-Semitism that existed in the United States that is now being displayed on college campuses. And look, there's an important distinction that we should make here. As someone who has covered this conflict extensively for years, I've reported inside Gaza among Hamas. I've reported among Palestinian civilians. I have reported alongside the Israeli military and alongside Israeli civilians. Truly have spoken with everyone involved in this conflict. And I think it's critical to make a distinction that is not being made on college campuses. And that is the distinction between Palestinian civilians and organizations like Hamas and Islamic Jihad, because they're all being lumped together when you look at the demonstrations across the United States right now. And I've spoken with friends who are Palestinians who live in East Jerusalem, who live in Gaza, and who live in cities like Jaffa, just south of Tel Aviv. And some of them have said to me, they believe these demonstrations are actually detrimental to a broader Palestinian cause and a two-state solution that many seek in the region, because they're not making that distinction, a moderate distinction between an organization like Islamic Jihad, for example, and Palestinian people who have shown in many cases they're able to live alongside the Israelis. They're able to work at the same places, to go to similar schools, and to live in areas. And it's critical that when we talk about these issues that we really dive into the facts and the complexities at play. It is not black and white. There are people suffering on both sides of this conflict, and to different degrees and to different extents and with different historical background. But I think at the end of the day, our job as journalists on the ground is to talk to everyone involved, Israeli civilians, Palestinian civilians, Hamas officials, and Israeli officials, and to try to get a clear picture of what the situation looks like for our audience so that they can make their own decisions as a result.
You know, Trey, given what you just said, I want to ask you, what's your sense among Israelis about, okay, now we've got hindsight. What were they supposed to do after October 7th to make sure it didn't happen again, but yet somehow not be hated even more depending on their reaction?
War often pushes people to one end of the spectrum or the other. And that's exactly what's happened on the ground in the Middle East over the past 7 months. And we saw it on both sides of the conflict. Following October 7th, many moderate and even left Israeli voices became far more hawkish, more conservative in their military politics because of what took place, the slaughter of civilians, the attack on the kibbutzim, these communities in southern Israel. And so you had a situation where Israelis who previously were advocating for peace and a two-state solution totally flipped in their views and now say that Israel should do whatever it takes to get the hostages home, even if that leads to the deaths of thousands of innocent civilians. And on the other end of the spectrum, you could totally understand and see how a population would come to be more radical and hate Israel on a broader level after a campaign that killed thousands of their civilians. And so it's incredibly complex, and it is a reality of war, especially this war, that when one side sees their population killed by the other, they're likely to hate the other side more. And it's a reality of the situation. And what is so unfortunate about it is that the voices that were advocating for peace and what I think is an underreported story, a story that we've tried to cover as it relates to the communities in southern Israel. Many of those people that were taken hostage were peace activists. They were people who were driving Palestinian children to Israeli hospitals. Those times are in the past, but I think they illustrate that this is a population, despite in the middle of a deep-seated historical and controversial conflict, has in some capacity lived alongside one another in years prior.
I just have one more for you before I let you go. I understand that Hamas, or at least the Gaza Health Ministry, had said last month it couldn't provide ID for around a third of the more than 30,000 people they claimed had been killed. Now they're saying that they cannot provide names for 10,000 people they claim have died, meaning far fewer people may have been killed, I guess, than Gaza officials have claimed. So how do we get at the truth of that number?
I don't think we ever know the exact number. And I think there will also be hostages that are unaccounted for forever. I've been inside Gaza, and I've seen the level of destruction. I've been in the tunnels underneath Gaza where the hostages were held. I've also been in areas of Gaza that smell of death because there are civilians buried under the rubble. And the reality of the number, it becomes a very heated conversation when you talk about the number. And what I found interesting is they actually don't disagree on the number. They disagree on the breakdown of how many civilians were killed amid that number. And so I've talked with Israeli officials in the Defense Department and also in intelligence agencies, and they actually do not dispute the 30,000 number. They say that the Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry is not taking into account that more than a third of those deaths are Hamas or Islamic Jihad militants who are actively engaged in battle against the Israeli military. And so I don't think we'll ever know exactly how many people were killed in this conflict. What we can say for certain is that thousands of women and children have been killed inside Gaza. Around 1,200 Israelis, the majority of them unarmed civilians, were slaughtered by Hamas on October 7th. And that this war continues. And so the death toll is expected to keep rising. There will be more civilians in Gaza that die. There will be more militants in Gaza that die. And so it's an incredibly challenging story to cover. And I think that our role can only be to pursue the truth as best possible. And that involves, when it comes to these critical things like numbers, to gather the information that we can gather from both sides, to be critical of the numbers that we see, and to get as close to the reality as possible, understanding that we will never know exactly how many people were killed inside Gaza, because there's simply no way to account for thousands of deaths, many of whom are buried underneath the ground.
Trey Yanks, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Buying a home warranty is one of the best investments you can make for your home. I know firsthand, and I'm proud to say that Select Home Warranty handles my home warranty needs. So if you're worried about your air conditioning or refrigerator breaking down, your heat, your plumbing, or any other major appliance, you can count on Select Home Warranty to provide you with the peace of mind. Yes, in this day of high costs, I know that I feel better knowing that I won't have to pay large repair fees out of my pocket. Plans start at $1 per day. So call now at 877-HOME. 012 and save $200. Now, in the event your appliance breaks down, I don't want you to worry. Select Home Warranty offers same-day service for repairs, even replacement. So call now. Don't wait for one of your major appliances or systems to break down. Call 877-HOME-012. Just get a free quote. Call today and tell them Brian Kilmeade sent you. Yeah, that's me. 877-HOME-012. Save $200. Tell them Brian Kilmeade sent you. Do not wait. Save.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
Israel invades Rafah. Yes, there are civilian casualties, but Israel is intent on destroying Hamas.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Spring is about to be sprung, and whether you're going to be opening up your windows wide to the world or having them closed to protect you from spring storms, you better have windows from Window World. Window World, simply the best for less. Why do we say they're the best for less? They're one of only 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval in the country. Just over 20 years in the business, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of over 72,000 of our neighbors and friends in the region. A double strength of glass. They truly are the best for less. Give them a call, 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800. Check them out at windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
Hey News Talk STL family, this is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water. I am so excited to announce our newest addition to our services, nutrition and wellness coaching. If you're looking to lose weight, increase energy, get rid of those headaches, balance your hormones, or simply find a healthy balance in your lifestyle, give me a call today. Mention News Talk STL and receive 10% off any nutritional service. Call us at 636-899-1040. That's 636-899-1040.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home.
Setup couldn't be easier because everything's ready to go in the app. Just say,
Alexa, play news from Fox.
In Fox News.
It's the latest when you need it, on demand from Fox News and Amazon Alexa. A deeper dive into the major and controversial stories of the day. This is the Fox News Rundown. More coming up.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. Colombo and Katie.
The Missouri legislative session started with drama. Now it's ending with drama, and voters are paying the price. We'll get an update on where things stand Wednesday from Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll open closest cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at cih.health. That's cih.health.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking with Randy Tobler, Dr. Randy Tobler.
I think that it's gotten to the point where everyone has so much dirty laundry, where everyone just sort of covers and they don't want to really expose. They don't want to dig too deep. I won't get too close to your armpits and smell them if you don't get too close to mine, to put it in a very crude way. But I think that makes the point.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
What makes a barbecue champion? It's skill, it's swagger, it's choice meats, superior spices, and sauces. But it starts with the simplest cooking fuel, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, made of 100% pure Missouri oak, hickory, and maple. It's premium charcoal that lights quick and burns hot, with a rich wood aroma that complements the natural flavors of meats. And because it's free from chemicals and impurities, it's more responsive for superior temperature control. What makes a barbecue champion? Rockwood Charcoal. Smoke the competition. Visit rockwoodcharcoal.com for tips and stores near you.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, the hidden underbelly of the current anti-Israel protests is exactly the same as the George Floyd riots. A hatred of the white, patriarchal, capitalist system. Many of the students don't know that, just as many of the looters didn't care. But if you track the organizers of the current unrest, you'll find hardcore socialists and communists. In England and Ireland, the hate Israel cadres are open about that. Here in the USA, they are not. That's because most Americans abhor the loss of freedom that accompanies government control of the marketplace. Our history and Judeo-Christian tradition both work against mandating what individual citizens can achieve. The climate control zealots also fall into the anti-capitalistic movement. Corporate media, devoted capitalists, is absolutely disinterested in exposing the roots of the protest model. But it's easy to find. Israel is a prosperous capitalist country. The Palestinians cannot create prosperity because they have no freedom to do so. Hamas rules them and no dissent is permitted. In Gaza, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. So there you have it. The capitalism is evil crew will find a way to create social disorder. It's what they do. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The fighting spirit of the Marine Corps is born of battles won. Battles won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's a promise made to you for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio News Junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Try to make this make sense for me, if you will. Now, understand that pretty much the entire Islamic world in the Middle East refuses, and I mean refuses, to accept refugees from Gaza. They will not take Palestinian refugees anywhere in the Muslim world in the Middle East. So the president of the United States is saying, you know what? Bring those Gaza refugees to the United States. What could go wrong with that? Yeah, we're going to get the update on that just a little bit later on today. And also, Congressman Mike Bost is going to be with us later on this morning as well. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your morning. And let's talk about what's happening in Jefferson City. We had a discussion with Senator Bill Eigel on Tuesday's program, and obviously there's a lot of frustration when it comes to what's happening with initiative petition reform, but there's really even a bigger picture than that. Now, from the time that we had that conversation with Bill, obviously things can change in the legislature, but some of the big picture issues remain the same. You have the establishment, and of course you have the conservatives, and there's a split between them as well. But the bigger picture is that the conservative things that need to be done aren't getting done, and we have gridlock because we have people who do not have a commitment to the right values and the right principles. After this legislative session ends next week, where do we go from here? Because really the future of our state is in the balance. And I don't mean that hyperbolically. If we can't get some key things done this year, the left is proven that they are willing to spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to change our state's constitution in order to make gains that they can't get through the people. Here's what Bill had to say about this. Bill, we all knew that this debacle was going to happen. We knew it. You knew it. I knew it. I think you and I talked about it over 6 or 7 months ago, one of our conversations. We knew this was going to happen. You all filibustered last week, meaning the Freedom Caucus, to make sure that you get initiative petition reform out from the Senate to the voters. So far, it looks to me like the leadership and whoever it was you talked to has not upheld their end of the deal. Is the initiative petition reform bill going to be put up for a vote in the state Senate to go to the voters before the last day, or is this going to be pushed up to the last minute, given even the Democrats a chance to shut it down?
Well, good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me. And, that's the question we've been asking ourselves for weeks now. Here's the reality. Where it sits right now, initiative petition reform is one vote away from being sent to the people of this state, one vote away. And in fact, the motion that needs to be made on the Senate floor could be made at any point during the deliberations of the Senate. So the moment we check in for the day at 8 o'clock this morning until we go home, the motion to bring up that vote could be done at any moment. The sponsor of the initiative petition reform bill, Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman, I think is taking rightfully a lot of heat right now because she refuses to make that motion, and the Senate has been in session, of course, for the past week and a half. So the Missouri Freedom Caucus, myself, with some assistance from Senator Mike Moon, have been slowing the chamber, eating up time, trying to force the body to bring that motion forward so we can get that off our plate. And we, as the Freedom Caucus, have said we're willing to move ahead with some of the other priorities of the chamber, whether it's, even addressing this bloated budget that Governor Parson wants to pass, whether it's addressing this healthcare tax renewal that Lincoln Huff seems to be obsessed with. We're willing to move forward with that, but we'd like to see initiative petition reform get done. We've also called on Governor Parson to sign the Planned Parenthood defunding bill. I mean, I can't believe that the reason that the Senate chamber is not moving right now is because we have a Republican governor that refuses to sign a bill to defund Planned Parenthood, and the Republican supermajority refuses to bring up the number one priority of the Missouri Republican Party for the past 2 years. That's initiative petition reform. So we're going to keep fighting. I don't know how long we can keep fighting until the other members of the Republican caucus work, combine with the Democrats and move the previous question on us. That day may come today. But our commitment is that we're going to be doing everything we can to see that IP reform makes it to the people, because, as you said, if it doesn't, if it fails, if it gets caught up in these games that our leadership has been playing for 2 years, then it's quite likely that abortion is going to get enshrined back in our Constitution and undo 20 years of pro-life supermajorities in the state of Missouri.
Morning, Bill. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, not to get too wonky in process or anything like that. So, what is currently being done in the Senate right now? If not the IP reform and these other priorities that we think should be at the forefront.
So, as in our desire to get initiative petition reform for the past week and a half, we've pretty much stalled everything. That's how serious the Freedom Caucus is about getting initiative petition reform done. In fact, the last bill that we passed was actually last Monday. It was the gold and silver bill that I sponsored and got sent over to the House. That was the last bill that we actually passed in the chamber. So we've been stalling the chamber out for ever since that time, trying to force motion on the initiative petition reform bill. We did a record-setting filibuster last week. We filibustered for 41 straight hours, and that's never happened before in the state of Missouri. Just 5 or 6 senators. 6 senators out of 34 were able to set a record for the longest continuous filibuster. That's how serious we are about getting initiative petition reform done. And the real tragedy here is there's plenty of Republicans to do this. All Republicans have to decide to do is the top Republican priority that we've talked about for the past 2 years. So it's frustrating, but these are the times that try the souls of men. We got to keep going. We're going to keep fighting.
Bill, talk about why this particular issue is so important. I know that there's got to be a frustration in all the Republicans say we need to get this done, but gosh darn it, we just run out of time every year. We just can't do it. And that's where we at, which we predicted was going to happen here. But we know about the abortion referendum. We also know that there's some initial building of a possible anti-Second Amendment referendum for down the future. Talk about why the initiative petition one is such a gatekeeper for the state, even to the point where, media, Tony Bessinger of the world saying, you won't let the people decide, a majority should rule. This is so much more important than that. I mean, explain why this matters so much as opposed to just some bill that some people are obsessed with.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, the Democrats have been using the initiative petition process as currently formatted for years to get some of their biggest priorities done and put into the Missouri Constitution. Medicaid expansion, minimum wage increases. Remember the whole Clean Missouri debacle. They've been using the low standard of the current initiative petition process, which just requires a simple majority to change the founding document of the state, to effectively advance liberal policies for years. So to your point, we are now seeing the abortionists use that same process to try to enshrine abortion. We're seeing future threats on the horizon to the Second Amendment. The Dems know that they can't win working through the legislature because overwhelmingly the people of this state keep sending super majorities of Republicans that are saying the right things in campaign season, right? So they've shifted by just going directly after the Constitution, using this fairly easy process to change it. So they're going to continue doing that. That's where IP reform comes in. And IP reform that we want to see happen just requires a broader consensus of the different parts of the state, not just the urban areas, but the urban areas and the rural areas combined in order to pass something that's going to change our Constitution. So specifically, it would require 5 of the 8 congressional districts to approve an initiative petition if it was going to be adopted into the Constitution. And I think that's a good step forward. I mean, look at the federal Constitution and how difficult it is to change the federal Constitution. By that standard, it's virtually a walk in the park to change the Missouri Constitution. So we want to protect that Constitution. We want to turn back the liberals from being able to kind of circumvent the will of the different parts of our state, where again it's rural or urban or suburban, and it's been the top priority of the Republican Party to do that. And if we fail over the next week and a half because our leadership just for whatever reason doesn't think it's important, or it gets caught up in the last days of session like what seems to happen every year, then we're going to continue to be vulnerable to these initiative petitions that are going to change our state in a way that the people do not want.
Bill, sort of war game what happens next, I guess, given the two possibilities of what we're looking at here. Either it passes, and then what happens, and then of course the flip side, if it doesn't pass, and then what happens, given the fact that we know that the anti-abortionists have the signatures they need to get onto the ballot.
No, you mean the abortionists?
I mean the abortionists. I'm sorry, the pro-abortion people.
So, if it passes, if the initiative petition reform bill passes, it's likely that gets put on the August ballot. So if it goes onto the August ballot, by the way, the initiative petition reform also includes some protections against non-citizens from voting in our elections. It includes protections from foreign entities from voting in those elections. So I think if it gets onto the ballot in August, the people are going to see that and say, this is great. This is a great addition to the Constitution, and they pass it handily. That means that the abortion petition is probably not going to be on the ballot until November, after this new change has gone into effect, which means that if we're going to enshrine abortion into the Constitution of the state, the liberals will have to convince not just 50 plus 1% of the people to do it. They're going to have to convince 5 out of the 8 congressional districts in this state to do it. And I got to tell you, the 5th congressional district, not the 5th, but the 5th congressional district that they would have to get is, I think, about a 67% Republican district. So they're going to have to, in order to enshrine abortion, they're going to have to convince a heck of a lot of Republicans to vote against the pro-life platform. I just don't think that's going to happen. So we feel very comfortable that this is the right way to go, but it's going to require the Senate to take one more step before we adjourn here in the next 9 days.
Okay, Bill, when you ended the filibuster, you being, the Freedom Caucus, ended that filibuster last week, what were you promised and what has been delivered and what has not been delivered by the folks you worked with to come to that agreement?
Sure. So we were promised that if we sat down and allowed that bill to take at least a small step forward, that yesterday we would have worked on the budget, and I think we may end up working on the budget today. And then to what would be today, we had a commitment that we were going to do both the FRA renewal bill, that's the healthcare tax bill that kind of started the discussion in the first place about protecting our dollars from going to Planned Parenthood, and we would also do the initiative petition reform bill today. Unfortunately, we came in yesterday, and it didn't take but 3 minutes for leadership to deviate from those promises, and they immediately tried to bring up the FRA to get it done, to try to circumvent their commitment that we were only going to do that at the same time we were going to do the initiative petition reform bill. So we had a brief discussion about our frustration about that on the floor. I did, and we adjourned for the day. So we've come in this morning. We have I think the next 3 items that are on the Senate agenda are the budget, the renewal of this healthcare tax, and then the initiative petition reform bill. So, I might be up for doing all 3 today, but I want to make sure that the initiative petition reform bill doesn't get left behind in the rush to get these other 2 items done, which are really enormous handouts to the special interests of the state, both the state budget, which is bigger than it's ever been before, and the healthcare tax renewal, which is a handout for one of Missouri's most powerful special interests. I couldn't care less about those items. Those items are going to be a complete disaster. I want to make sure we're protecting the Constitution of the state. And right now, the leadership doesn't appear to be inclined to make good on their promises, which is, Mike, that's a problem that I've seen in this place going back long before this year. That's been a problem for my entire 8-year stint in the Missouri Senate.
Yeah, that was going to be as the last minute we've got or so here. We're visiting with State Senator Bill Eigel. I mean, at this point, what's your gut tell you? Are they going to find a way to renege on that promise and not put this on the ballot? And the fact that it would be Republicans stopping this right now should make a lot of people who donate to the Missouri Republican Party think twice if they can't get this done. I understand there's a difference between the party structure and the legislative branch, but at some point there has to be enough of a consensus to say we've got to, the Republican Party has to be bound by some kind of principles that you agree with that makes you the actual party itself. And right now it doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, well, I've always said, what unites Republicans are the principles that we fight for, right? Without principles, there is no party. There's no point to having a party. So look at what happened at the state convention this weekend. Not only we were not given sufficient time to actually adopt a new party platform for 2024. So what that means is right now, the Missouri Republican Party does not have a 2024 platform adopted of ideas. And while we were trying to get this party platform adopted, we had put everything from initiative petition reform to ending personal property tax to protecting our farmland to getting rid of the voting machine. All of that had gone into the draft platform, and then we were adjourned by a few folks that didn't want to see those become permanent parts of the Republican ideas. So we have nothing. And that is a process by which the establishment, the party, is silencing the Republicans of the state. Well, the same thing's happening in the Missouri Senate. When they took away my chairmanship because I was filibustering too much, when they took away my parking spaces because they didn't like me fighting for IP reform, they were trying to silence me. And that's why Republicans everywhere, Mike, they're just furious. They're furious about what's going on. They want to take their state back. They are sick and tired of the status quo that never gets anything done. And if IP reform doesn't get done in the next 9 days, it won't be because the Freedom Caucus didn't do everything it possibly could do to leverage the chamber to make it happen. It happened because if it doesn't get done, it'll be because once again the swamp won. The swamp won, and that's just going to make people even angrier and even more ready for change come August 6th.
Let's get the morning news dump underway here in just a couple of minutes, including on the updates of what's happened since we talked to Bill and since we had that conversation you just heard right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage, and we'll be discussing everything paranormal. From ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right, it's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Missouri at highschoolofficials.com.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Danny Define with The Next Gen, airing every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Now back to the show with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, one small step for school choice in Missouri. It's a small step, but it's a step.
Well, better than no step at all.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Also, is the Biden administration becoming a choke point for weapons going to Israel?
Oh, I don't like to hear this.
No, I've got the details for you here in a second. They're just suspicions and accusations, but they're all over national media now. And the Cardinals get a bad break in last night's game. I'm not just talking about the score.
I don't like to hear about this either.
This was ugly, man. And I've had this happen to me before too, being a catcher.
We need to talk about it a little bit during the show.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that around 6:05 or 6:10, something like that. All right, 5:53 right now. That's Stell. I'm Mike. All right, school choice advances in Missouri. We're going to go into more detail on this here in a little bit. Governor Mike Parson signed 2 education bills into law on Tuesday. Kind of not a big ceremony, kind of uneventful. Just kind of like, oh, by the way, I signed these into law. One of those is the expansion of the Most Scholars program that also allows charter schools in Boone County. Remember, by law, charter schools are only allowed in the city of St. Louis, the city of Kansas City, now Boone County, and also in any district where the school is unaccredited. So basically the teachers and public school monopoly have, basically a chokehold on most other areas. It also includes what was signed into law, an increase in minimum teacher salaries and also incentives to keep classes going 5 days a week. Those were all part of those packages. All right, now this one may surprise you a little bit. Senate Republicans criticizing the Biden administration for reportedly withholding weapons shipments to Israel. Senator Lindsey Graham was on Jesse Waters' primetime on Fox last night. He says, you know what? If this is true, it represents a dangerous turn in administration policy.
If Biden has, in fact, restricted weapons, put a hold on weapons to Israel to defend itself, or withheld ammunition, that is a strategic mistake for the ages. It makes terrorists more likely to keep fighting.
Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about these suspicions and accusations, and here's part of what she had to say.
We have been very clear from here about our concerns about major operations. We have been very clear from here about protecting civilians.
She goes on to say that the support for Israel by the administration is, in her words, ironclad, though. Okay, we'll find out. I keep telling you, I think that they are in the process of getting ready to throw Israel under the bus and completely stab her in the back. Okay, also, this is a little bit later on, too. The city's chapter of the NAACP is complaining about State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick.
This is almost comedic.
It really is. Chapter President Adolphus Pruitt went on KMOV last night, and he says it is unwarranted and unprofessional to talk about former circuit attorney Kimberly Gardner like, in his words, she's a wanted criminal. This comes after Fitzpatrick's statement about Gardner's whereabouts being unknown, including they're trying to serve her with a subpoena. The auditor's office is trying to interview her as part of the investigation into her mishandling of the criminal caseload, the spending of the office, the staffing of the office, the violation of the law regarding how she spent her working hours, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So they're complaining that they're treating her badly, basically.
It's almost as though they're accusing the city of being racist, going after, trying to find her.
Right. That's kind of the implication that I got from that as well. I mean, what are they going to do? Saying, they just wanted to get rid of the black person who's a circuit attorney. Let's look at who they put in there. Mm-hmm. Another black person who the difference here is that this one's competent. This one's doing the job. It has nothing to do with the skin color. It has everything to do with the character and the ability.
He's 1,000% better.
Oh, my goodness, yes. All right, let's see here. At least 15 states, including Missouri, are now suing the Biden administration over the complete revamping of Title IX and expanding protections to the confused boys who think they're girls. They say the expansion harms female athletes by allowing... Well, the news copy says transgender women, but there is no such thing. We're talking about mentally ill boys and young men to participate in sports as their identified gender rather than their real gender. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, of course, Arkansas among the states suing, was on Fox's America Reports yesterday saying this isn't just bad for women and girls, and she also blames President Biden.
He is letting our women, something that I feel like people have fought for decades, to provide fairness in girls' sports, opportunities and scholarships, protection for our young athletes. And all of a sudden, they're erasing all of that and putting our daughters in harm's way.
Department of Education warning that schools that do not comply can lose all their federal funding, and that would shut down a lot of schools unless they bend the knee to this extremist ideology. Okay, the Cardinals lost the game and their catcher, at least for a while. The Mets picked up a 7-5 win over the Redbirds at Busch Stadium, but the bigger story here, Wilson Contreras will be on the disabled list for quite a while. Suffered a fracture to his left arm after getting hit with J.D. Martinez's bat. In addition to being the catcher, Contreras leads the team in several offensive statistics. He's got 25% of their home runs so far this year. Cardinals and Mets play this afternoon at 12:15 to wrap up the series. Cardinals trying to avoid a sweep.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Zero Res knows there's nothing more important than the health of your family, and the health of your home has a direct impact on that, and that's why they have this great offer for the month of May. Book a cleaning now and mention the Colombo Special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Keep your home clean and healthy with the pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Colombo Special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. The Israeli military says it's reopened the Kerem Shalom crossing into Gaza, but a UN agency says no aid is yet entered. The key terminal for the entry of humanitarian aid was closed over the weekend after a Hamas rocket attack killed all or 4 Israeli soldiers nearby. GOP Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas says President Biden's missteps in the war in Gaza are the latest example of the president being wrong on every foreign policy issue over the past 50 years.
He opposed, for instance, the bin Laden raid that killed Osama bin Laden. He repeatedly opposed things like missile defense systems when Ronald Reagan wanted to invest in missile defenses that are now being used to protect our troops in Israel in the Middle East, thank goodness.
Cotton was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. House Speaker Mike Johnson worked to position himself as in control Tuesday, insisting he's not negotiating with fellow Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene as they met again at the Capitol. Johnson says he has no choice but to have an open-door policy for all Republicans.
What it's required when you have the smallest majority in history is that you have to quite literally get everyone to work together. When you can only lose one vote on a party preference or priority, it takes a lot of time to build consensus. And so what I do every day, Scott, is almost on an hourly basis, is I hear suggestions and ideas and thoughts from members.
Greene says one of her demands has to do with Russia's war with Ukraine.
Demanding no more money for Ukraine. That is the right thing to do, and it also obeys the majority of the majority.
Ukraine's president says Russia has launched a massive nighttime attack on energy facilities across his country, targeting 7 regions with more than 50 missiles and drones. On Wall Street, Dow futures are up 14 points. NASDAQ futures are down 7. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief, thank the pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at Best Hot Grill.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
We know there's a lot of people who can be competent at the various services that you need. And for instance, when we talk about real estate, listen, there's a lot of good real estate professionals out there, but there's only one Rodney and Jen. Let me tell you what the difference is. Mike Ferguson here for the Walner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. Give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD. I'm going to give you that number a couple of extra times. Listen, anybody can go get a license and then type in their computer system and say, okay, you want 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and you want it in this part of town. Great, fine. I can type it up and find that to you. And then what they do is they try to make a sale. Rodney and Jen are different. Let me tell you what, Rodney and Jen want to know what it is that you need this real estate purchase to do for your family. They've got extensive knowledge, not just of the industry itself, but also of the St. Louis market. But the important thing is that they are really passionate about serving the people and empowering the people who they work with. They're not salespeople trying to just get you a sale. They are your consultants. They are the people who fight for you. And that's a whole different thing. Rodney and Jen are invested in St. Louis. Rodney and Jen have been a big part of the News Talk STL family right here. Listen, when you're thinking about making a move with real estate, give Rodney and Jen a call. Listen, they're not going to make you sign a contract just to hear you out and give you some advice. 314-810-SOLD. I know firsthand how ethical they are. I know firsthand what great people Rodney and Jen are, not just because of their work in the nonprofits and their work to try to help some of the most vulnerable children in St. Louis. But the fact is that they're licensed in both Missouri and in Illinois, and they know what they're doing. They sell upwards of 15 times more homes than any other real estate agent in the area. And that's not just because they work harder and they're better closers at sales. No, what happens is they empower you. They navigate you through a complex process, and they make sure that you're in the best position for your family financially and the best position for where your home is and what your home is. And there's a difference. News Talk STL is supported by Rodney and Jen Wallner. We support Rodney and Jen Wallner. Give them a call. You're looking to even thinking about making a move. Call them today, 314-810-SOLD. You need to sell your home? They have so many pre-approved buyers, you might not even have to list it. Once again, 314-810-SOLD. Take my challenge. Give them a call today. Say, Mike was talking about you on the radio. I want to know more. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
So apparently Tim Jones has been on a private jet with Donald Trump, and I'm just finding this out now? We'll have Mr. Jones explain that Wednesday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
I want to be clear, I'm not going nuts.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
How dare you talk about someone avoiding their legal responsibility like they are some kind of scufflaw? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
You've stolen my dreams.
Good Lord. All right. By the way, school choice expands in Missouri. Not as much as I'd like to see, but it is an expansion nonetheless. Let's fill everybody in around 6:20, guys. Let's do that. 6:08 right now. I'm Mike. Got Stell here. Got Gabe here. Top of the morning to you all. I just realized I haven't clicked on the Rumble page yet. I need to get on there to see what everybody's saying. You
should do that.
Yeah, there was a lot of great discussion happening yesterday here.
And while everybody else is there, they need to hit the share button,
yes,
and the like button, and all that stuff. Just consider it the cost of admission.
I think it's technically known as the thumbs uppy thing.
The thumbs uppy thing. Yes.
So
hit the thumbs uppy thing.
Yes,
It's the like
exactly.
button.
It actually does help.
It does.
It does do that. Okay, get this. The local NAACP is complaining about the state auditors complaining about Kimberly Gardner.
I saw this. It's like, hey, man, why are you? It's like, hey, if we could talk to her,
Right.
maybe we could clear some of this up.
This is the I don't know how much of this is identity politics versus partisan politics. I don't know. So the president of the city's NAACP. So we're just talking about the city. We're not talking about the county. The president Adolphus Pruitt was on KMOV. They did a story last night, and they are really offended that Scott Fitzpatrick did his press conference in the St. Louis area yesterday, saying we can't find Kimberly Gardner. She is avoiding contact. We can't find her to serve subpoenas. We need to interview her so that we can include her information and her perspective in this audit of the circuit attorney's office, which, by the way, goes back to like 2018. This has been like 5 years in the works.
And let's be honest, they've searched everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, not everywhere, because wherever she is, they haven't searched there. It's like that old joke, who was it? Was it Stephen Wright or one of those who said, it drives him nuts when people look forever to find something, and it was the last place I looked. Well, I would hope you wouldn't keep looking after that.
I mean, I found it, but maybe there's something else out here. Let me keep going.
So Adolphus Pruitt is complaining, saying it's unprofessional, it's unwarranted, that they would talk about her like she's a common criminal.
Are they doing that, though?
Not really. They're saying that basically they did say you're on the run, you're avoiding this. They did say that.
Well, yeah. But that's true.
Yeah, so here's part of what Pruitt had to say to KMOV.
Well, next thing I know, he be trying to put a picture up in the post office.
Well, she's missing.
Yeah,
she's literally missing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one thing if it's like we can't contact you. Like we've been unable to to actually. We've been two ships passing in the night. We just keep leaving messages for one another, and maybe my people have called your people, but they haven't had a place to meet in the middle. It's not that.
No,
it's that she has no home. She has no
she's got
telephone.
One, she just ain't there.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like she's disappeared. She is removes herself from the local vicinity. She's missing.
I went to get a carton of milk last night, and her picture
there you go.
was on the side. Have you seen this lady?
For the kids out there, that's what we used to do for missing people.
So what's the motivation to go to bat to say, stop being mean to Kimberly Gardner? I mean, what's the NAACP got us? Listen, she was replaced by a black man, so it's not about race. The difference is she was replaced by somebody who's competent and so far appears to have all the ethics needed. I mean, and he goes on to say in the story, he goes, put up or shut up. Let's see the audit. That's what they're trying to do.
You idiot.
Mr. Pruitt.
That's the part that got me. It was like, if she had a chance to, talk to us, maybe we could clear some of this stuff up. But no, that's not how it's going with it. So I'm sure it's partisan.
It's got to be. I mean, or is it identity politics? Is the NAACP basically saying if your skin is black, you are immune to criticism? I would hate to think it goes that far. But,
well, it does.
Okay.
Sorry,
let me clarify.
Sorry to burst.
let me clarify. If you are black and on the left,
yes, those are the two criteria that the NAACP uses to determine how to react to any given story. It's like, okay, it's like, are they black? It's like, okay, yeah. It's like, oh, no, they're Republican. Never mind.
No, slam them.
Yeah. This is where we start calling them names.
You have a wall full of awards to the NAACP in your office, do you?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
I mean, there's like list of bad people.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so I just thought I saw that on Channel 4. Obviously, you did too. I'm just like, really? That's the fight you're going to pick. Huh?
Next thing you know,
really, that's what you're going to do.
Post is up in the post office.
Oh man! All right, been a rough season for the Cardinals. We know that already. Cardinals, if they don't win today, they will be swept at home. And they have lost 4 straight or something like that. But that's not the big story from last time.
Mm-hmm.
So second inning, I think it was. JD Martinez from the the Mets are in town, was taking a swing, and he hit Wilson Contreras, and here was the call on Bally Sports.
Swing and a miss. That got a piece of Contreras on the big backswing, and oh boy, you worry about the left elbow and the left hand, and Contreras sees that left hand go numb.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw it. When it happened. I'm a catcher, okay, in my old man baseball. I've had this happen. Fortunately for me, and unfortunately for Contreras, the difference is I did not break my arm.
Oh, it's broken.
It's fractured.
Oh, geez.
It is fractured. So the swing, you saw the swing, right, Stel?
I have not watched it because it's going to make me sick.
Yeah, it's not the grotesque deforming, but you see where it happens. And the real insult to injury is, you know what that technically is by the rules?
What?
That's catcher's interference.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
JD Martinez got to go to first base.
Oh, wow.
But those are the rules.
Insult to injury, yeah.
I had this happen in the preseason this year. One of my teammates, and I don't want to name names, so I'm not going to call out Eddie on this, but just... This is a guy who just retired from the police department, takes this big, huge swing, and he clobbed me right in the same spot, almost the same spot that Contreras got hit. I had a massive lump. I thought my arm was broken because this is a really strong guy.
Man.
And but I saw that, and Martinez was way back in the batter's box. For some reason, Contreras was up close.
Well, let's get into that. Go ahead and finish your part of the story.
It was a really bad combination, and that bat. He went for the ball, and it hit right in the upper part of his wrist. That's where he got hit.
So let me say this, and you have caught all of your life, I believe.
Yeah, since I was 78 or 79. Yeah.
Okay, and I have never caught a game from Little League through high school and college ball. Played short and left, and just a tad at first.
Yeah, see that means that you're smarter than me.
But Kathy's dad was a catcher all his life, all the way through playing at Notre Dame, was in the Detroit farm system for a year, and played semi-pro ball. So I know what you guys have gone through because I've seen the struggles that he's had over the years with injuries.
Yeah.
This is the part that bugs me, and I heard this a few days ago before this incident happened, and that's coaching staffs on different teams over the last year or two have encouraged catchers to move up a little bit. Yep. So supposedly the umpires can get a better look at, balls that are at the knees or at the bottom of the strike zone, or the catcher's trying to frame the pitch. That really bothers me because you and I know how susceptible you can be to someone with a huge swing. And so this happens, and it's not the same as Gibson getting hit in the leg. No. And getting, a fractured leg, or Herb Score getting hit in the face. Great pitcher for the Indians early in his career, gets a line drive right into his face. It's different for you guys. You guys are behind the plate every pitch, 9 innings plus, and to have you guys intentionally moved up just because you want to have the umpire get a better look, I've got a real problem with that. And I was kind of negative on doing the whole electronic ball strikes kind of thing up until something like this happens. And now my thought is, you know what? For the safety of you guys behind the plate, I'm leaning towards saying, yeah, go to electronic balls and strikes.
We're going to argue about that.
Okay.
We don't have time right now but what you're talking about is, the coaches and a lot of these like travel coaches and stuff, which I think is bad for the game with these kids. But that's what they're saying. They're saying get up there because if a ball is a curveball or a slider or whatever the case is, if you catch that ball down low, now it may have gone over the plate in the strike zone, but if it's going down, because first of all, the pitcher's throwing from an upward to downward angle, the umpire may see that as, well, you caught it in the dirt. There's no way. That's just human nature. Now, the major league guys are supposed to be better at that and know that, but that's one of the reasons they do want you to move up so that you catch that closer to the plate. And then, of course, here's what happened. Here's the immediate aftermath. Here are the Bally Sports guys looking at the replay of what just happened.
We know the punishment that Contreras has taken this year behind the plate, one of the toughest guys that we've seen, and we'll see this one here. The backswing catches him right in the wrist, upper forearm area there. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's about all you got to hear. Once again, from Bally Sports, they were reacting to that the first time they saw and it gets worse in slow motion.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just see that contact. But, yeah, that's what's happening with the game is because, catchers, and the reason I don't like the automated strike zone, which is going to be a real thing, if they're going to do it, is because there is a skill to receiving and framing that ball. Every umpire says, "Oh, framing doesn't matter." Oh, yeah, it does. I am telling you, I'll say it on the air. There's some umpires I can get my pitcher an extra 2 or 3 inches off the plate, depending on where I set up and how I set it. That's just a good, skilled catcher helps their pitcher like that. I'm really passionate about the culture of baseball. But with this right here, moving up so much, that's a risk that you take. But I always look at where the batter is in the box, and I'm sure Contreras did too. But when he's back and you're up, something's got to give. And when you got a very hard wood bat and you've got a somewhat hard, bone in your arm, the bat's not giving. Your arm is.
Yeah, if the batter's deep in the box, then
up.
Yeah, you got to back up.
You got to back up.
Does there need to be a rule change on that interference call? No. Okay.
Because it was on the front swing. It wasn't like he swung around and then got him on the back swing.
Oh, it was on the front swing.
It was on the front swing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So in my head, I'm thinking he got him on that on a big backswing.
No, which is what, now I've been hit by that a bunch of times too. But that's actually what makes it worse is because that was his full.
Oh, that's full power.
Everything,
Yeah.
Full power.
Gosh.
Yep. So Contreras out. We don't know how long, but it's going to be.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 months.
At least. Yeah, I think that's the case. All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. And school choice takes a step forward in Missouri. I'll tell you about that. And then let's ask a question. What's the next step? Because we can't stop here.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Harrison County Board of Education is punishing and suspending 13-year-old girls from being able to compete in their sport because they didn't want to compete against a boy. Meanwhile, protesters violently taking over buildings and breaking the law and threatening violence, they're not being punished, but these 13-year-old girls are.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Bost as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
It's always a good day for some striper.
Oh, always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Even at 6:23 in the morning.
Heck yeah. All right, school choice takes a step forward in Missouri. Now let's start working on the next steps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I said it. Let's keep going.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there are going to be people on the left go, ha ha, see? You guys want more. Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll talk about
we
that.
Want the whole thing.
By the way, tomorrow is Give STL Day.
That's right.
That's right. Tomorrow's STL. I have made my donation to the life-saving work of Thrive STL. I have done it.
Same.
Gabe's done it too. I encourage you to do it as well. ThriveAlive.stl is where you can do that. There's a link, and that actually goes through the Give STL Day, so Thrive gets credit for that. Mm-hmm. It's not just that we want them to win a contest because they're our buddies. Planned Parenthood wants to be the number one fundraiser.
Yeah.
Through Give STL Day.
That's one of their goals.
Right. That's one of their goals. And so when Thrive beats them year after year after year, it actually sends a very clear message, and especially on the Missouri side, given what we're going to be dealing with this referendum issue, it's crucial that the life-saving work with moms and dads and children continue with Thrive. So
Ixnay on Planned Parenthood.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. ThriveAlive.stl.org is actually what I meant to say. ThriveAliveSTL.org. is where you make that donation. That's where I did. I encourage you to do that as well. Okay, Governor Mike Parson signed some school choice bills or some education bills into law, including the expansion of the Most Scholars program.
Okay.
And let me just complain here for a minute. Okay.
All right.
St. Louis Post disgrace.
Oh, these guys.
Oh, the list is long with the Post disgrace.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I saw over and over and over their stories on this. There's the one for the regular Post disgrace, and then there's the politics one. They continually referred to it as an expansion of vouchers.
Oh my gosh, it's literally not true.
It's not a voucher.
No.
There is a difference between a tax credit and a voucher. These are not vouchers.
It's a fundamental difference too. It's not as though we're talking semantics or right. a difference without any valid difference between those two concepts. They are functionally not the same.
Right. They're very different things. Mm-hmm. But the Post-Dispatch kept in their headlines, and they're posting it like, Governor Parsons signs education bill, expands vouchers, which is just patently false.
It's not a voucher.
It's not even close to being accurate.
Yeah.
So if the St. Louis Post-Dispatch wants to cover the story, they should probably learn the difference between a tax credit and a voucher. They are completely different things. Okay, so I've beaten that into the ground. I just wanted to complain about that for a minute. So the big, huge bill, which I don't like everything in the bill either. Now we find out that some of the agitators who were trying to say this is conservatives against this, turns out that they're actually leftists.
No kidding.
Yeah, imagine that. So they don't want any school choice. But remember, this was originally just a bill that was going to expand the Most Scholars Program. The Most Scholars Program, in case you're not sure, is one of those where you can make a donation to one of these funds, private sector funds, that will provide a scholarship to a child who wants to go to a private school, a parochial school, homeschool, whatever it is. It basically empowers the parents and the students to take the money and then get the best education for them. Could be a Montessori school, could be a Christian school, could be a Catholic school, could be any, whatever. And so this then allows you to take a deduction off your tax credit or off your tax bill for the state.
Right.
The same way you can deduct your donations to your church or the donation I just made to Thrive.
Right.
You can write off a donation to the Red Cross. I mean, just go down the line. So this is a scholarship fund. None of the money ever goes through the state.
Right.
It does. You don't write the check to the government. The government does not send out the scholarship money. The government is not involved. You just get a tax credit like you would for any other nonprofit.
It changes your tax liability. That's really what it does.
It's like any other donation to a nonprofit that helps children or anybody else.
Just with a little extra on it because it's a credit.
Right, because it's a credit. And so that expands that. So more people can donate. Hopefully we're in the position to where more people take advantage of this. Now, the left hates this because it's another resource for poor people to get school choice for their children.
Yes. I mean, there's the one aspect of the limousine liberal types who don't want the poors showing up in their private schools because hey, that's our exclusive playing ground. You can't come in here. And then of course there's also the aspect of removing seats. Butts from seats in the public school, and they know that in many regards their budgetary needs are determined by the population of students in the schools. That's one of the reasons why the teachers' unions is so up in arms.
Right. Well, and not to mention the control over the young minds.
Yes. Well, and then there's of course the lost mind.
Right.
That could be radicalized and in a few years be camping someplace on a college campus.
Yeah. So during the negotiations, and you know what the Republicans gave in and added a whole bunch of stuff. The minimum salary for a first-year teacher now goes up to like $40,000, whether they're worth it or not.
Yeah.
There's another guaranteed minimum if they get their master's degree and all this kind of stuff. So the teachers' unions are getting something out of this.
Oh, absolutely.
They're getting something, and there are incentives for schools to stay 5 days a week as opposed to going 4 days a week. And so there's a variety of things there. It turned out to be almost kind of a omnibus education thing. It was 100 and some odd pages to it. It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it should have been just a simple school choice bill.
I hate when the bills expand like that. It's usually because the politicians are getting their chunk of fat, chunk of pork,
flesh,
in there, and it never works out well for the originators of the bill when you start adding stuff like that. But you kind of get what you can get, and I think we got something.
But remember the real blockade on these. I mean, the Democrats threw a fit and they wanted to filibuster. They don't want school choice at all. If they had their druthers, every child and every family would be forced through the government education system. That's what
except theirs.
Yeah, except their own kids, right? But they would be forced everybody else. So where do we go from here? What's next? Because if Republicans and conservatives have any backbone in Missouri, they will not stop trying to take the football down the field farther. You got a little bit. Charter schools are now allowed in Boone County where they're throwing a fit now. And the fact that they're throwing a fit should tell you that there are a lot of people who would leave the public education system just by the fact that it's allowed now. Whether there will be any charter schools, I don't know. But the question is, what's next? What should be the next thing that in 2025 we take up the mantle and say, all right, here's the next step in school choice?
It's good. I mean, I obviously if I'm stepping up to the plate here, I'm swinging for the fences. I'm trying to get it over into the parking lot beyond the edge of the park there. So
just don't hit the catcher.
No,
please don't hit the catcher on the swing. So I'm looking for full on money follows kids instead of systems. So,
Arizona, New Mexico style. Arizona style. Yeah.
Because that's the thing, where these things exist and they've already shown their efficacy and all that stuff. It's an easy case to make. It's like, we'll just write it like this, and it'll have somewhere around the same effect, and that effect is positive.
And I think that, and by the way, this is after, of course, the open enrollment bill has been moved in Missouri as well. So, like, if your kid, your school doesn't offer a particular class, but the next school district over does, they can take it there, and that's all fine and good. What I think is realistic, because the rural Republicans will never allow what you just described. That's the moral and ethical and right thing to do, but the rural Republicans won't allow that. Rural Republicans get a lot of stuff right on a lot of different policy things that the suburban ones are scared of, but this is one where they usually get it wrong.
And for some reason, it seems to be because of the power of the teachers' union.
Yes,
in these places, but it's not as though they would lose any votes.
They're never those entities they're afraid of are never going to support them. They're always going to oppose them.
It has never made any sense to me. It's like, why are you afraid of these people? They can do nothing.
The next step is going to be they should allow charter schools anywhere in the state.
Yep,
everywhere.
There you go.
That should be the next step.
That's a nice step.
Yep. All right. We know that the latest foreign aid bill is essentially going to ban TikTok unless its ownership sells it. Could that actually affect free speech and intellectual discourse? We'll talk about that just ahead with our friends from CEI right here at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You should have seen by the look in my eyes, baby. There was something missing.
Social media First Amendment, national security. Where do you find all of those debates in one place? Well, you find it in a bill that was just passed into law in Washington, D.C. And how could this affect your life? Well, maybe it will or maybe it won't directly, but it definitely affects the role government is going to have in our communications, including in technology. I'm Mike Ferguson. I'm going to make sense of that here in just a moment. I'm now joined by James Brohl. He is with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. And James, I'm looking over your article that you wrote for for Forbes. TikTok ban lands a blow to intellectual discourse online. And of course, the TikTok ban was rolled into that foreign aid bill for Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan and all of these other things. And it was a political gamesmanship. But the important thing right now is that Republicans, Democrats, the president, Congress, they have all passed a law saying that the owner of TikTok, ByteDance, must sell TikTok because they've deemed it a national security threat. ByteDance says not going to do it. Lawsuits are going to unfold. But this is much bigger than just who owns a social media company. So when you say this could be a blow to intellectual discourse online, what do you mean by that? And how does the government come into play in that equation?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. The new legislation requires ByteDance or it requires any company controlled by a quote unquote foreign adversary to they're not allowed to own any domestic social media companies. And so this is really written in a way to target ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok. And so they have 9 months essentially to sell TikTok. And there's a possibility of a 3-month extension, and potentially legal battles could take it longer. But if they don't do that, then TikTok is going to be taken down and won't be available in the United States. So ByteDance has said it won't sell, but potentially, and in that case, it's essentially a de facto ban. Now, the reason this could be a blow to open discourse is just that TikTok has become one of the most popular social media companies for young people in particular. And in my experience, it has a much more democratic algorithm, frankly, than some of the other social media companies like Twitter or Facebook, where the algorithm really tends to reinforce certain people, certain public personalities that have a large follower base already, and it really makes it hard for new voices to kind of break through. Whereas on TikTok, if you use hashtags, and effectively, you can essentially reach a pretty wide audience and an engaged audience where they'll post on your feed and like your content, even if they're people you don't know at all. And so this could really be a blow to open discourse if TikTok is taken down and we're stuck with the existing American social media companies.
Okay, so one of the arguments being made in some of those rare points of agreement between Republicans and Democrats in Washington, D.C., they're saying, but this is a national security threat. ByteDance is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. We know they're collecting data. We know that, they're planting things on your phones or your computers. And all of that may very well be true. So when you come to the national security argument of it, does that have to be balanced in? Because I don't know that I've heard of a government saying, our government at least, saying you're not allowed to own media because we don't like your ownership or your affiliations. That to me is a strange, application of government power, especially considering the First Amendment. But is there a national security argument that is defensible and logical?
I mean, there's basically two aspects to this argument. The first is that they're collecting data on Americans. And the reality is all the social media companies are collecting data. And a lot of that data is for sale on the open market. So even if TikTok wasn't able to directly collect your data, it could probably purchase data from other social media companies, including a potential buyer of TikTok, and have access to the same or similar data anyway. The other case is that there's a belief that perhaps China is going to use the algorithm on TikTok to promote misinformation or interfere with U.S. elections. And there's very little evidence of this actually going on. And honestly, to the extent there is evidence of this being a problem, it's generally been other platforms that have been the focus. I mean, Facebook is the most obvious example, where whatever your views might be, that's where the criticism has been most directly targeted. And if you're worried about, I don't know, propaganda or promotion of, alternative views or communist views, even, I mean, we have a long history of allowing speech, even controversial speech, to be published in the United States. I mean, Pravda, which was a Soviet magazine, had an English version published in the U.S., and it was largely done for educational reasons. I think if there's harm, it would come from something like that, as opposed to the cat videos that we see promoted on TikTok.
And that leads me to my other question, because, you mentioned, allowing the freedom of speech, including things that are even against, our government or our culture, or anything like that. By the way, we're visiting with James Brohl from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. While all the focus is on TikTok and ByteDance and the potential bad aspects of that, and I'm not a fan of ByteDance and I'm not on TikTok, but what about the part of the conversation regarding the role of the federal government coming in and saying, we're going to decide who gets to be a platform or where you're allowed to say what you want to say? I mean, what about, I guess that's where I want to back up. What does this say about the role of government right now when it comes to our mass communication, when it comes to emerging technologies? Because to me, that should be as much of the conversation as whether or not TikTok is good or bad.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that the U.S. government has at times worked with social media companies, including U.S. social media companies like Facebook or Twitter, behind the scenes to try to control the content that was breaking through on those platforms. And this has led to a lot of controversy, because one person's misinformation might be another person's truth. And the social media companies themselves they're in a tough position. They're trying to please everyone. And I think that the best option available is to put the information out there, let people decide for themselves what they believe and what they don't believe, and allow the different social media platforms to moderate content in the way that they see best. And that may mean that some platforms have more of a left-wing slant, others have more of a right-wing slant, others have more out of the mainstream positions that surface to the top, and people can flock to the social media platform that they trust. And that's essentially how media is operated in the country since its founding. And the internet may make things a little more complicated or fast-paced, but the second the government starts interfering with what we see and what we don't see, then we're walking down a dangerous path.
You can find the article on Forbes. TikTok ban lands a blow to intellectual discourse online. It was written by James Brohl, who we're speaking with right now. And James, I appreciate you being on the program. Last just 30 seconds or so. One, if people want to be in touch and follow your work and that of your colleagues, how do we do it? And secondly, what I'm hearing you say is, listen, if government's going to be involved, then what it should be doing is opening up lanes of communication and platforms, as opposed to trying to direct the traffic or close them off. Am I close on that?
That's absolutely right. I mean, if you trust the government to ban TikTok, then what social media company is next? It might be your favorite platform. If you're interested in finding out about my research, you can go to CEI.org. That's the Competitive Enterprise Institute website, or follow me on Twitter, X, at James Brohl.
And that is spelled Broughel. James, I really appreciate you putting the perspective out there.
Thanks so much.
All right. I know there's people with a lot of different views on this, and I get it. I mean, this is one of those where not everybody who's part of the News Talk family agrees with me on this. I kind of agree with where James is coming from. Three things can be true at the same time. One, TikTok is affiliated with the CCP, and it's really bad. I agree with that. Two, I am not cool enough to be on TikTok, because I'm not even cool enough to be on Instagram, according to my daughter. That's true as well. But three, I am scared to death of having a federal government that declares itself powerful enough to say you're allowed to speak on this platform, but you're not allowed to speak on this one, and we will determine who gets to own which media outlets out there. That bothers me even more. What do you think? Can we kind of split the hairs on this and come up with the right solution, or is this a matter of with freedom comes people trying to do bad things? It's not quite that black and white because you do have a national security aspect to this. But what do you think? 314-912-1019. There's not just one view on this when it comes to the conservative libertarian side of this, but I've been warning for years now that we're seeing kind of a big government trend in conservative and Republican circles. And this is one of those areas where I think there's evidence of it, where we say, government, do something. Is this where we need them to do something? What do you think? Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Should have seen by the look in my eyes, baby, there was something missing.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
By the tone of my voice, maybe, but you didn't listen.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You played dead, but you never played. Instead, you laid still in the grass, or coiled up in innocence.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You must understand.
Hopefully it gets played tonight, but the weather forecast, I don't know.
Looks iffy.
Yeah, it looks very iffy. All right. Even Islamic nations in the Middle East will not take in refugees from Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
So why would anyone think it's a good idea to bring them here to the U.S., land of the infidels?
Seriously.
Let's talk about that at 7:05.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, 6:51 right now. One small step for school choice in Missouri, and is the Biden administration becoming a choke point for weapons going to Israel? This is huge, and it backs up my argument that the Biden administration is setting itself up to sell out Israel. And the Cardinals get a bad break in last night's game, and I'm not just talking about the score, unfortunately.
Literally a bad break.
Yeah, here we go. All right, school choice advances in Missouri. Governor Mike Parson signs 2 education bills into law on Tuesday. Interestingly, it wasn't a big ceremonial thing. It just kind of like, oh, by the way, I signed these into law. And he made a brief statement. One of those is the expansion of the Most Scholars program that also allows charter schools in Boone County. That was the one that had the big fighting going on and had some leftists actually trick some conservatives into opposing school choice.
Mm-hmm.
That was the bill we're talking about. Also signed into law an increase in the minimum teacher salaries and some incentives to keep classes going 5 days a week. That's all part of those packages that were in there. Unfortunately, there is some stuff in those bills that I'm not wild about, but you know what? School choice advanced overall. You know, it's a good step in the right direction. There was more positive than negative.
We need to take the wins where we can.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Senate Republicans criticizing the Biden administration for reportedly withholding weapons shipments from Israel. Senator Lindsey Graham was on Jesse Waters' Primetime on Fox last night. He says if this is true, it represents a dangerous turn in administration policy.
If Biden has, in fact, restricted weapons, put a hold on weapons to Israel to defend itself, or withheld ammunition, that is a strategic mistake for the ages. It makes terrorists more likely to keep fighting.
And we are now having some media report this morning that the withholding is in fact happening. We just moments ago saw a headline from Fox on that. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about it yesterday as well. Here's part of what she said.
We have been very clear from here about our concerns about major operations. We have been very clear from here about protecting civilians.
Okay, she goes on to say, well, our support for Israel is ironclad.
Except
this. Now, Let me tell you what could be happening here, because again, just moments ago we saw news alert, breaking news, White House is withholding weapons shipments to Israel. By the way, Israel buys most of what there is some foreign aid going to Israel, but they buy our stuff.
They are customers.
So what this appears to be is trying to leverage them into taking a ceasefire or into altering their strategy, because, you know, they're opposed to the Rafah offensive. And so if that's the case, and that's what we're going to be finding out here probably within the next few hours or so, it is not only dangerous, but it is immoral for the White House to try to control Israel as they are trying to defend themselves and survive against these Islamic terrorists that they're surrounded by.
Now, usually these defense type contracts, they're probably pre-existing, and they probably have a pre-existing timeline. If they are new, then they would absolutely have the shorter timeline. But what administration officials can always do is they can delay a signature. They can say, okay, well, we're going to take a little extra scrutiny on signing this thing off because international arms trade is a thing,
right,
that requires a lot of regulation. So they can just slow the paperwork down on it, and that would force a delay.
Yeah, or even just say, we're going to put a hold on this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And the U.S. officials and Israeli officials are set to meet later this week as well. Even if it's just a matter of, you know what, we'll facilitate this after this. Let's pause this until after we meet. Listen, Israel is under real threat right now.
Imagine doing this to England in the beginnings of World War II.
Yeah,
when we were just suppliers, we weren't part of the war, but we were sending supplies and stuff to England. Imagine FDR saying, you know what, let's pause a little bit. We're worried about the German civilians.
Right, and in this case right here, Israel is winning.
Yeah,
I mean, Israel can get this thing over with, and if we're delaying the shipments here, then we're part of the problem. And so the Biden administration, I'm really worried, is going to completely sell out Israel. All right, a little closer to home here. The city's chapter of the NAACP complaining about State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick. Chapter President Adolphus Pruitt was on with a KMOV yesterday. He says it is unwarranted and unprofessional to talk about former Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner like, in his words, she's a wanted criminal. This comes after Fitzpatrick's statement about Gardner's whereabouts being unknown because they're trying to serve her subpoenas to get her to be forced to disclose the things that she did while in office. The auditor's office trying to interview her as part of that investigation into her mishandling the criminal caseload, spending, staffing, her violation of the law regarding how she spent her working hours, all the stuff.
There's a lot there. There's a lot going on there. And the thing is, if you seem to be avoiding being served, that makes you kind of look a little criminal. I'm just saying.
And the NAACP complaining, saying, put up or shut up. Let's see the audit. Well, they're trying to do that.
You can't do it until it's finished.
Right.
Don't you want the other side to have their say?
Well, that's what Fitzpatrick said. He put out a statement in response to this saying, we're literally trying, I'm paraphrasing, we're literally trying to include her side of the story.
Right.
This. That's part of the process.
Right.
And we can't do that until we find her.
So dumb.
All right. At least 15 states, including Missouri, now suing the Biden administration over the reworking of Title IX. And of course, that expands the protections specifically for the gender confused. They say the expansion would harm female athletes, meaning the states that are suing, by allowing, and the news copy here says transgender women, which is not correct.
That's not a thing.
That is not a thing. With gender confused and mentally ill men to participate in sports as their identified gender instead of their real gender. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders from Arkansas was on America Reports on Fox yesterday, and she says they're suing because this is bad for women and girls, and there's only one place you can lay the blame.
He is letting our women, something that I feel like people have fought for decades, to provide fairness in girls' sports, opportunities and scholarships, protection for our young athletes. And all of a sudden, they're erasing all of that and putting our daughters in harm's way.
Now, remember, any university or college, or possibly even some high schools that do not comply and bend the knee to the new rules can lose every bit of federal funding, including grants and student loans and other support as well. So this is really an insidious pushing of this just destructive ideology.
It's so gross.
All right, the Cardinals lost the game and lost their catcher. The Mets picked up a 7-5 win over the Redbirds at Busch Stadium, but the bigger story is that Wilson Contreras will be on the disabled list for quite a while. He suffered a fracture to his left arm after getting hit with JD Martinez's bat. And in addition to being the catcher, Contreras leads the team in several offensive statistics. Cardinals and Mets play this afternoon at 12:15 to wrap up the series. Cardinals trying to avoid the sweep.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. The U.S. paused a shipment of bombs to Israel last week. The pause coming over concerns that Israel was approaching a decision on launching a full-scale assault on the southern Gaza city of Rafah against the wishes of the U.S. The Biden White House is not commenting on the pause.
Several news organizations cite unnamed sources who say the Biden administration has been holding up certain Boeing-made arms shipments to Israel. The reported delay is seen as an apparent political message to the Israeli government. White House officials are declining to comment on those reports, except to say that America's commitment to Israel's security remains ironclad. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Meanwhile, National Security spokesman John Kirby says the United States is hopeful that Israel and Hamas can come to terms on a ceasefire agreement.
A close assessment of the two sides' positions suggests that they should be able to close the remaining gaps. And we're going to do everything we can to support that process and achieve that outcome.
The Israeli military says it's reopened the Kerem Shalom crossing into Gaza. However, a United Nations agency says no aid has yet entered. Severe storms have battered parts of the Midwest, unleashing a curtain of heavy rain, gusty winds, and tornadoes in the region. Thursday's severe weather outbreak came a day after a deadly twister ripped through a small Oklahoma town and killed at least one person. The go-broke dates for the benefit programs Medicare and Social Security have been pushed back as an improving economy has contributed to changed projection depletion dates. The annual Social Security and Medicare Trustees report says Medicare's go-broke date for its hospital insurance trust fund was pushed back 5 years to 2036 in the report. On Wall Street, Dow futures are down by 19. More on these stories at townhall.com.
See, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. And maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. See what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alphi LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, get this. The Islamic nations in the Middle East won't take refugees from Gaza.
Yep.
So why would we even think about bringing them into the U.S.?
It's such a dumb idea.
I mean, we're the great Satan, right?
Right, yeah.
That's what they say.
According to Iran, and Iran is running all the proxies out there.
We're second on the list, right? Death to Israel, death to America.
Yeah.
Right? We're right there.
So why would the administration even think about doing that? But that's what they're saying, that they want to start bringing in so-called refugees from Gaza. I mean, they're already wanting to import refugees from Afghanistan as well. All right, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Don't forget, News Talk STL's our app, streaming audio, free. Almost no memory use. Very little memory use. You can download it in about 15 seconds on your phone or your car. So check it out, just newstalkstl.com or whatever your Play Store is, whatever your App Store is, I guess I should call it. You can find it. Just look up News Talk, completely free app. It downloads right away. And you can listen to us anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And we won't ask for dinner or anything.
I mean, if you want to take us to dinner, I'll take it. But we're not going to. It's not a requirement.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The Biden administration is saying that we should look at bringing refugees from Gaza, from Palestine, over to the U.S. amid the war between Israel and Hamas. Of course, Israel trying to defend itself after the attacks in last October. Joined now by Eric Ruark from Numbers USA. And Eric, try to make this make sense for me if you could. No other Islamic nations, even in the Middle East, will take the refugees from Gaza, but the Biden administration says we should bring some of them here. Is there a way to make that make sense?
Well, I think, and you're right, no other country in the region is taking them, which is the best way to deal with displaced people, is that you take care of them there. It's most cost effective, and they're more easily able to return to their homes when it's safe to do so. But I think the short answer of why the Biden administration is considering this is a political one. And unfortunately, that's how public policy is made, not what's in the best interest of the American people, but for political reasons. And the Biden administration is feeling some heat from its left flank. We saw the protests on college universities and young people. The Democrats, and rightfully so, believe are important in the next election, in every election for them, to get them to turn out. But also, you look in the House and the so-called squad, there's a lot of pressure within, the ranks in Congress to bring in Gazans, to bring them into the country, resettle them here, but also within the administration. They're committed to bringing in people under the guise of refugee or asylum or whatever reason and get them into the country permanently, as opposed to dealing with the situation at hand in the best way possible. And I think the real threat here is how are they going to do this, number one. But number two is, how do you know who you're bringing in? And we've seen this play out with Haitians and Venezuelans and other people. You can only vet someone based on the information available to you. And do we think that Hamas or the Palestinian government authorities are going to provide accurate and detailed information on who these people are and their background? I think most Americans would say absolutely not.
Good morning, Eric. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So do we have any details about what the administration is actually suggesting here, besides just some vague notions of refugees?
We're not sure what they're going to do. There's been reports that they're developing a plan, and that's another thing to be very wary of, because that's how the Biden administration operates, on immigration. They develop things internally, which may or may not have any basis in law. The parole, how they're bringing people in on parole. They do have parole authorities that are completely abusing it, but they're also illegally giving people work permits who they're paroling into the country. And so what they're developing is unclear. What we can see, what they've done, with the Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, with that program, that's probably what we're going to see, because they haven't brought these people in as refugees because they don't qualify in any way. The parole programs they've already set up. And so it's likely that if they do something, they're going to circumvent the actual refugee process and use what they have called new legal pathways into the country. And again, not just, we don't have the evidence or I guess the information for people coming in, but the Biden administration, when they set up these programs, isn't really concerned about public safety or national security. It's about, how do you get people in here? And unfortunately, when Congress has been given a chance to put a stop to it, they haven't, because they actually funded. They gave money to the Biden administration for this very reason. And so the Biden administration, if Congress speaks up now and says, well, we don't want it, well, it's too late. You've already funded.
Good morning, Eric. Stal Ponticus here. So the administration seems to have no regard for cultural assimilation, when it's obvious that other countries much closer to Gaza would work out much better for these folks. Why do the other countries continue to say no?
Well, I think there's two reasons. One, for the same reasons that we're concerned about bringing these people in. We don't know who they are, and we don't know what their intentions are going to be. But I think the other thing, and this goes beyond, immigration, U.S. immigration policy, but I think it's pretty clear that the other nations benefit in one way or another from the ongoing conflict. And so not resettling these people, keeping them there, turns, the international community's eyes towards what's happening. And yes, civilians are being killed in the war there. And unfortunately, I think the other Arab nations in the region want the conflict to go on because geopolitically it benefits them, and it hurts Israel in many people's eyes, because this is the case. So instead of offering humanitarian relief, they're keeping these people stuck in Gaza. And, this is a human tragedy, however you look at it. But it's not the United States' number one responsibility to solve all of the problems in the world, but number two, to act as a ground, a sort of a dumping ground for all the world's displaced people. We cannot assimilate them, number one, as you pointed out, but number two, we don't have the resources or the system in place, particularly when it comes to the refugee system. The way the Biden administration has operated on the border, we're simply overwhelmed. And even if we had the resources, the Biden administration wouldn't put them to good use in order to make sure that the people coming in here were not intent on doing harm to us.
We are visiting with Eric Ruark from Numbers USA, and we'll give the social media information out. We've already tagged you on our social media, Eric. Okay, so let me follow up when you were talking about Congress has already allocated the money to this, so Republicans can pitch a fit if they want, but to some degree, do they have the ability to stop and stop this process at all, to say, hey, we've got to have discretion. There are some parts of the world that are simply friendlier to us and they want to come here to the United States. Other parts of the world simply pose a bigger threat to us. And yes, we need to be able to be discerning and even discriminatory when it comes to who we bring into the U.S.
They could do that, but I don't think in this, given the slim majority that the Republicans have in the House or in the Senate either, I don't even know if it would get to a vote if the House would pass such a bill to say you cannot use funds to resettle people from Gaza into the United States. They could do that. But, what's so upsetting about how they handled the border security, which they were supposed to attach to Ukraine funding, when they passed the bill giving aid directly, specifying it was going to go to humanitarian aid for Gaza, they could have put a one line in there that said none of these funds shall be used for this process to bring people in any way. And that would have easily been done, and it probably would have passed with the budget. And that shows, when they put these huge bills and they say it's for Ukraine or it's for Israel, for whatever it is, which are popular among a lot of Americans, the details of the bill get left out. And that's something that Speaker Johnson easily could have inserted, but he wouldn't allow any amendments to the aid packages that they passed through the House and then eventually went to the Senate.
Eric, do we have any precedent as far as the country bringing in so-called refugees or just bringing in immigrants? I mean, literally, we're talking about the United States government not really recruiting, but basically talking about inviting and going to get them and paying to bring them into the United States. Do we have any precedent, I'm asking, regarding bringing somebody in from another hostile part of the world? And if we do, how did that work out for us? What evidence do we have that anything like this could possibly work and benefit the United States?
Well, we've seen with Afghanistan, when we pulled out of that country, people who just happened to be able to, in their good fortune, get on a plane who had no connection to the United States military or the government as far as helping us as interpreters or whatever. So we do see that, and we have Afghanis here who have been paroled in the country but don't have any status. In Congress, there's attempts in Congress to give them permanent legal status. How that's worked out, it remains to be seen. We've seen that some cases with Iraqis, but most of the Iraqis who've come here have been people who have worked with the United States and the military during that conflict. You could go back to the Vietnam War, where we had lots of refugees coming from Vietnam. But most of those people, again, were sympathetic to the United States. They were from South Vietnam, who had worked with the United States government. I don't know if there's any real precedent we can point to. And we also, I don't know if any government that, quasi-government, when it comes to the, Palestinian Authority or Hamas, who has declared themselves to be not just, antagonists, but enemies. And their intent is to destroy the United States, bringing people in from those regions into the United States without information being able to vet them. I'm not sure we can point to an example, but I don't think we need an example to understand that this is a terrible idea.
All right, Eric, and where do people follow what you're doing on this? We've tagged you on our social media, but if people want to get in touch directly, how do they do it?
NumbersUSA.com. You can go there and take action on the action board at the top of the page. And, there's this going on. There's also the Ballot Act, which Senator Mike Lee has introduced, which would prevent aliens from flying within the United States without proper identification, which, it's hard to believe, but you're showing up with a piece of paper Border Patrol gave them, you're getting on a plane. And again, we don't know who these people are or what their intentions are in the United States.
All right, Eric, good chat with you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, 314-912-1019 on Rumble here. Ed says, what's the reason for letting out they may want to bring Gazans here? Motive? Otherwise, they just go to Mexico and walk in. Something's not right here. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point.
There's a lot packed into that, and yeah, that's right. All right, we know that I don't enjoy this, but we got to talk about these updates on these Trump trial things.
Yeah.
At least a couple of them. I've only got a 3.5-hour show. We don't have time to update you on all of them. But there are updates on two of them, one in Florida and one of them in New York. Bring you up to speed on that right around 7:20 here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up, get up.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
4:20, we'll have Jack Fitzhenry from the Heritage Foundation on the Trump trials. And at 5:20, Levi Hart of Thrive on the continuing pro-life fight.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue. And after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number:
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the circuses continue. And by circuses, I'm talking about, the Trump trials, which I hate talking about here, but here we go, at least for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is this plural of circuses, circi? No, it's circuses.
No, it's just,
okay,
yeah.
just
yeah.
make sure you're right.
This is more like gladiatorial games, isn't it?
It really is.
They throw them in there with some lions.
This is also crazy here. Okay, and here's the thing is I also kind of have, I know, some takes that not everybody agrees with as well, but, multiple things can be true at the same time, and that's what we're seeing in a lot of these. By the way, our streaming video, please watch it.
Yeah.
Please like it, including like each and everyone, like first on the Rumble right now. There's a lot of people watching on Rumble. Thank you very much. Please go right below the screen there, right below the picture, the little thumbs up thing. Hit that, and if you'd be so kind, whether you're watching this on Facebook or you're watching this on Twitter, or if you're watching Mike Ferguson in the morning on YouTube or Rumble, share. Just share it on your social media. Please let everybody else know about that here. All right, let's start. Let's see here. Let's start in this Florida case here. Now, this is a big development here. This, of course, is the classified documents case, connected to the Mar-a-Lago raid and all that sort of thing.
Right.
There's now an issue with how the prosecutors, the investigators, handled the evidence, and the judge has now put that case on indefinite suspension.
Yeah, postponed it indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Which is interesting to me. I'm
right
now. Is this is there a big paper that's describing exactly why this was done, or is this just kind of like
it has to do with how the evidence was cataloged and some of it was changed around.
Okay.
As I understand it, as far as like the documentation of it and when they were so Jack Smith and his team, they're like, oh, it doesn't affect anything. It just, some typos and paper. But the way that you're handling evidence is crucial because you got a chain of custody thing and you've got a documentation thing. And it's very, very crucial.
Because the judge said it's tampering. You're tampering with evidence.
It could, exactly. Because if you're doing it in a way with the timelines that makes it seem like something happened before or after you're claiming that it did, that's where you could get into the tampering thing on it.
Yeah.
So what's happened right here is now the Trump defense, obviously, as they're supposed to do, is asking for a case to be dismissed, and that's not what the judge ruled. The judge is, like you said, indefinitely suspended, meaning they don't have a new trial date. That was supposed to go to trial in about a week and a half.
Right.
From right now. Just a little over a week. So that's not going to happen. The judge did schedule other hearings. So essentially they're like, all right, we're going to reset and we're going to go back through the pre-trial stuff, but it is highly unlikely that anything's going to happen before August. Very possibly nothing's going to happen before November. So this particular case is likely not going to be a big courtroom battle before the election.
You know what? If you go back to when this incident happened, and I know a lot of folks felt like this, for them to spread everything out on the carpet and take pictures of it, a lot of folks had the suspicion that, hey, there's something weird going on here. They had everything in different folders. They had stuff all situated so that they all showed up great on the photographs. The whole thing was very odd. So I'm not surprised that the judge is saying, there's something going on here. We need to investigate it further.
Yeah, and the judge in the case specifically cited the defendant, Donald Trump, has a right to due process.
Right.
And if there is a question about the due process, the ruling was essentially, as I read it, not being a lawyer, basically says, whoa, okay, if we can't guarantee that this is going to be done right, we're going to reset and maybe not start over, but back up a little bit and go from here. Now, here's the unpopular thing that I could say. Is that of all these cases, and most of this stuff against Trump is, and I'm just trying to call balls and strike here, it's complete garbage. We know that. And we'll get to the New York one here in a minute. If there is a case where he actually broke the law, this one in Florida might be it. He's actually on a recording showing some classified information to some people who are writing a book, and he actually is recorded saying, yeah, I'm not supposed to show this to you, but here, take a look at that. Now, how major, how minor it is, that remains to be seen. But if there's a case where he stepped over the line, this might be it. This might be the one where it's at.
It's possible.
It's possible. And so if there was one where the prosecution needed to watch their P's and Q's higher than anywhere else, It was this one.
Well, you got to remember, if the case is about the mishandling of classified documents, you can't mishandle the classified documents while you set up the case. So there's a lot to that. There are a lot of rules about how classified documents are supposed to be handled. I know because I just recently retook my certification on this. It's like, yes, I've taken my refresher. Here's the check boxes that there's a lot there. There's a lot of stuff.
Right. And so of course that goes back to what did he have a right to take from the White House, and what he did, that's ultimately what'll be decided. Okay, last few minutes we've got good Lord, I don't want to talk about that. Stormy Daniels, or whatever her real name is.
This is probably the worst. Well, actually, second worst. I'll call this the second worst of the lawfare.
The one in Washington D.C. That one's the worst, I think.
Yeah.
The federal prosecutor. I think that's the worst of all of them. And that's just complete garbage on this one. Okay, so this one is the so-called hush money payments. So they call Stormy Daniels. They call the porn star, or former porn star, to the stand to testify.
You're only former if you're not making money on it anymore. I think she's still making money on it, so I'd say she's still working.
So she's, so they call in, and there were even some liberal lawyers like, I don't understand why they're calling her.
She's completely unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary to the case. I mean, almost everybody agrees she's unnecessary to the case.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I said a couple weeks ago. I don't think they care so much about whether or not she's necessary to the case from a legal perspective.
Oh, gosh, no.
They just want to remind the entire country that Donald Trump had an affair with a porn star, while he was married to his third wife. That's all this is, because she started talking. I mean, even the judge was like, all right, that's
she started going into detail.
Stop.
It's like, come on.
But there was nothing that she offered about the, the case itself. I haven't read a single article on this that has said, oh, yeah, she gave detailed information on how the money was handled or where it was moved from. No, it wasn't.
She wouldn't have that information anyway.
It was about how their affair happened. I mean, that's all that it was.
It's all salacious stuff, and reporters who were actually there yesterday came out afterwards and said, you know what? It was pretty interesting to see when she was stating her case, you could hear all the keyboards going crazy inside.
Oh, yeah.
When she was done, and then other individuals came up to share their perspective.
Nobody cares.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah, see, there was another witness who worked at the book publishing company that worked with Trump, and that line of questioning I thought was, and Susie Moore had a good article that kind of accounted for all of this, because what they were doing was trying to set up and say, listen, Donald Trump keeps track of where his money goes. He wants to sign his own check. And they're trying to establish, no, this guy keeps track of where all the money goes. Because the arguments that they're making on the Trump defense is that, you know what, the lawyers did this, the accountants did this, he didn't even know about it. So they were trying to establish that that's not his pattern. I think that's a stretch, because one thing when it comes to like how you do your books and the other thing.
That's different than,
it's a different thing.
When you give retainers to lawyers.
At least you could see a strategy involved. I mean,
right. The prosecution could make the case that is a relevant bit of testimony there. There is nothing behind the Stormy testimony.
To say it's a stretch, though, would still be understating, what they were going for on there. But again, like you said, Stell, I mean, what everybody wanted to know was, what did Stormy Daniels have to say? And I know more about Donald Trump than I ever wanted to know.
See, I deliberately avoided all of the quotes from that thing, just specifically because I knew it was just going to be salacious detail for no other reason than to get clicks and to try and embarrass Trump.
Well, that's all it is. Yeah, that's the entire thing.
And all that stuff came from the early 2000s, did it not?
2006, I think it was.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And the other head scratcher is Michael Cohen making his comments. You've got a guy who's been now considered to be a liar regarding a lot of the stuff that he's been involved in. And now he's coming out essentially supporting Trump and saying, well, you know what? When you look at this stuff here, maybe Donald did this stuff correctly here, and here. So now you've got folks trying to figure out, well, is he lying again or is he telling the truth? Who knows?
Well, and remember in the early 90s, when Bill Clinton was lying about the Monica Lewinsky thing, the left was all about, of course they lied about sex. Everybody lies about sex. Well, now it's like, well, Donald Trump's lying about sex. Well, yeah, I think he is. I think when he goes, I never had affair. I don't believe him for a second. I think he's lying through his teeth.
Oh, when he said he never has the affair.
When he says he never had. No, he did.
But in terms of the actual accusation, which is that he didn't record the money properly.
Right.
Essentially, it's like, okay, come on, really? It's like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the understanding that I have is he gave a check to his lawyer as part of and he recorded it as part of a retainer.
Would be Michael Cohen.
And then the lawyer, at some point paid Stormy Daniels out of that out of whatever money he had, I guess, from the Trump organization. So it's like, where's the problem?
Yeah. Goat Lady says Stormy is there just to embarrass Trump. Why was she even allowed to testify since the trial is supposed to be about money handling? Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
That's exactly it. Barely Biggs on Rumble says, let me see here. Did they have a saxophone player in the room when Stormy gave her testimony?
They're playing a little Barry White in the background.
Well, I was going to say little Barry White.
Yeah.
Clarence Clemens.
That's right. Good Lord.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my
it
goodness.
should have been, if there was a saxophone playing, it should have been Yakety
Sax by Boots Randolph.
Yeah, exactly, from the Benny Hill show.
There you go. Oh, goodness. All right, 314-912-1019. This has just evolved into a basically slapstick, is what this has all turned into.
I think it started that way, Mike.
All right, you got any thoughts about it? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. Otherwise, I want to follow up that conversation we had a little bit earlier with James Brohl from CEI. The Republicans and Democrats agree on trying to ban TikTok. What are we actually compromising when we do that? So you can have good and bad at the same time. There's a bigger picture. Let's talk about that too here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michaels Flooring Outlet. Michaels Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michaels to rip up their old carpet and replace it, and they are both happy with the product and installation from Michaels. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Other major cities seeing a drop in violent crimes, but not in D.C., our nation's capital, a 39% increase last year. One of the more recent, a man parked in his car, waiting for his wife to leave work, right in front of ritzy hotels and shops, just blocks from the White House. The White House where one man has the most protection in the world. And this man was sitting there and shot, probably during an attempted carjacking. He later died. Police say the same man went to a different part of town, another luxury apartment area, tried to take a guy's car, and took the keys and still shot the man, leaving the 35-year-old, father of 2, dead. His mother said, I have another son, but I don't want him coming to D.C. We don't want to lose him. We're afraid here. We're terrified. Well, Mayor Bowser is insisting things are not that bad. Yes, last November she declared juvenile crime was rising, but then she chastised the press for saying, not reporting, we did not have a single murder yesterday, and you didn't report it.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be a good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. And getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality, American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, standing above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
What he needs to be doing is being the commander-in-chief.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
We're dealing with an international issue here.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
It felt so easy in the morning sun.
Well, Jimmy Jameson, Survivor.
Yes, indeed.
I've got the house to myself now because my wife's in Europe for a couple weeks.
Oh, you're going to be cranking stuff up.
I did. Matter of fact, just a couple of days ago, we've got this like Google whatever little gadget in the kitchen, and I can just say, hey, and I don't want to do it because I'll turn everybody's Google thing on if I do that. And I'm like, I'm just in the mood for some 80s like low-key rock, and I just had them play Survivor for like an hour while I was cleaning up around the house. So, good stuff.
I'm sure Rosie appreciated it, too.
Yeah, that's right. Rosie just appreciate anybody at the house now. Since I was gone over the weekend, and I got back on Monday, and she didn't shut up for like 30 minutes when I got there. She followed me around and just meowed at me the whole time.
Well, first of all, she's chewing you out. She's like, "What did you do with my favorite human?"
That's right.
Like that was the. And then the other was like, "And you're supposed to be here to keep me company, spare human."
I literally was trying to work out, and she kept jumping up on my bench and like messing with me.
No, pay attention to me.
Right, yeah.
Spare human.
Right, yeah, I'm the spare. Rachel's the real one.
Yes, exactly.
Spare.
See, we think cats don't care about us, but actually...
She doesn't care about me. No, it's not that.
I mean, you serve a purpose.
Right.
You're a utility.
I'm functional.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the same for Sassy. I'm a utility.
My daughter came over...
gas and electricity.
Yeah, gas and electric.
So my daughter just came over a couple times a day while I was gone to feed her and make sure she didn't like tear the house down or something like that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that's where she's at. All right, 7:39 right now. Okay, so we had this really interesting conversation with James Brohl from Competitive Enterprise Institute about an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if you missed it, it had to do with the bigger picture, and we've been kind of talking about this and warning this, and I've got these mixed feelings on it. Okay, because obviously there's the whole thing over the foreign aid to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan and the other Israel and all the others, and I get there's always a debate over foreign aid, and there should be a debate over foreign aid. That's not the issue. Into that same bill, remember, was the TikTok ban bill, and so as it stands right now, at least until a court overturns this, and I think that it probably will, ByteDance, which owns TikTok, must divest. They must sell TikTok so that TikTok is not under ownership that's connected to the CCP.
Right.
Okay, so here's the mixed feelings on this. And 314-912-1019, if you got any thoughts on it, and I'll keep track of some of the social media comments on Rumble, and you guys have Facebook and Twitter and the others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so TikTok is bad.
Yes.
TikTok is absolutely spying on you. By the way, all the social media ones are.
Mhm.
But TikTok in particular is doing it maliciously. If you have TikTok on your phone, you should delete your account and go get another phone. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
We know that they are beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, I am not denying any of that, and that those things, I don't know what the CCP is going to do with all this data. I have no clue, but they've got it. Now, having said that, what we talked to James about was his op-ed, his article that was in Forbes. And he said when the government comes in and decides they're going to ban a social media app, because ByteDance has made it very clear they are not selling TikTok. It's billions of dollars. They're not going to do it.
Sure.
They're going to fight in court, but they're not going to do this. He says, when you got a government that says, we're going to tell you which platforms you can be on and which you can't because we don't like this one. And by the way, Republicans led this charge. They're saying it's a free speech issue, but also can affect intellectual discourse. Now, you can get rid of TikTok and you've got other social media apps. So it's not like you are stopping the conversation.
Right.
So that's one argument.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it to me, and like I said in that segment, is I'm more worried about our government coming in and telling me not just what I can say and what I can't say. The First Amendment's very clear on that. But does the government have the right to say, you can say it on this platform, but not on this platform? Because if you're in a place where the property owner, the platform owner says, sure, say what you want to say. Does the government have the right to come in and say, no, you can't? That's where it gets complicated. That's where it gets very sticky.
Yeah, and you have the same, two competing set of concerns that I do. Right. In that I'm as free speech absolutist, it's tough for me to make the case to limit speech in any regard, right? Mm-hmm. So you have that aspect of it, but also there is in my view a clear international defense issue at hand here, but I don't think it's the one that anybody is talking about. And I think a lot of what they're talking about is, well, we're worried about misinformation. We're worried about even social pressures, that can be pushed through TikTok because, the way their algorithm works in America is different than the way it works in China. But even, you throw out all that stuff that's speech related, you still have this technological issue. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not going to give anybody any ideas over the radio, but there are means by which software like this can be used in very, very nefarious methods.
Software, you mean like the app software?
The app itself.
Okay.
And I think more so than a speech issue, this should also be a sort of operational defense issue, mm-hmm. because we're allowing a foreign entity to traffic in technology that is potentially dangerous. I'm very limited on what I can say as to what the capabilities of this thing is, but there's a lot there. And I wonder if maybe the better way to have approached this would have been using, maybe something like the International Traffic in Arms Regulation or something like that. I've seen people put.
Let me jump in here. So we're talking about that would be limiting the technology, but not limiting the commercial
speech
aspect of it.
Yeah.
So TikTok can be TikTok, but you just can't use this technology to do other things.
Yes, I mean it would. You can classify things under ITAR, and they could otherwise be relatively innocuous. Mm-hmm. But because of their, let's say, dual or multiple applicability, that you can classify them under something that is regulated by the state. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot behind all that. But let's just say I think there was a way that they could do this, but nobody chose that path.
Right.
We're still talking about free speech. We're still talking about company ownerships, and we're still talking about data breaches and things like that. And I think that's the least of our worries.
Mm-hmm. So the bottom line is, what's the right role of the federal government here?
Yeah.
Absolutely, the federal government is responsible for national security.
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
I'm not arguing different. I just also really argue that it's not the federal government's job to tell us where we can speak and where we can't. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, a private property owner can say, no, you can't do that on my rally on my front yard.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something that they don't own.
Right.
You know, the public does not own. Where's the private sector rights as well? And where's the free market allowing as well? So if there's a way to split that baby technologically, you know, then we should be talking about that. But as much as I don't like anything to do with TikTok, I think I'm not going to go and insult people who have TikTok, because I know a lot of people have TikTok. I'm not on it. I've never been on it. I don't have an account. If you see an account that says Mike Ferguson, it ain't me. I don't even have Instagram.
Right.
You know, I've got Twitter, X, I've got, you know, Facebook, I've got the others. I'm not on it. It's not on my phone. Unfortunately, my daughter's on it. I tried to talk her out of it, but she's 25 years old. And,
what are you going to do?
You know, so at some point we'll have a phone burning ceremony with her. And you know, millions and millions and millions of people on it. It's you know, it's just like hundreds of millions of people on it.
It's huge.
It's massive. It's massive. I am also just more worried about our federal government running out of control and violating our rights, because we've got all of these years of history of our federal government doing exactly that.
Yeah.
So Republicans rushing to say, let's equip our federal government with the power to crack down on this speech platform. Trust us, we won't violate your rights.
Yeah.
To me, flies in the face of everything we know about the federal government, whether it's run by Republicans or Democrats.
It does. It feels very. I keep going back to this. It kind of feels Patriot Acty. We just got Patriot Acted. You know, basically the idea being that, you know, we're being sold on national security, which, you know, all of us on the right tend to be really, really big on, especially because that is one of the, if not the primary role of the federal government is, you know, national security. And we're being sold that, but underneath it all, and the Trojan horse aspect of it, I guess, is this over-regulation of what we can or cannot do or say, or you know, the overriding of our freedoms.
Well, and remember, at the time of the Patriot Act, it was the more libertarian-ish, classical liberal, if you want to call that, which is the old school way of saying libertarian, not liberal in the current leftist sense. But they were the ones warning about this, and conservatives got really mad at libertarians for being unpatriotic and opposing this. And then now, a generation or so later, conservatives are saying, ooh, yeah, that didn't work out the way we thought it would.
Yeah, a lot of libertarians are doing an I told you so right now,
right.
You know, given what the FISA courts have been up to.
Exactly. So now it's being used. It's been weaponized. It's what happens when you give the government way too much power, even if it's for an ostensibly good purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I have. That's the hesitation. That's the heartburn that I've got around this. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. By the way, tomorrow is Give STL Day. I've already made my donation to the life-saving work of Thrive STL. I've already done it. I encourage you to do that as well. Check out thrivealivestl.org, and you can make your donation. That will count towards the Give STL Day rankings and stats. And by the way, as of this morning when I made my donation, there was a match going on, which I think is still going on.
I think it's going on throughout.
Yeah, so whatever you donate is going to be matched. At least it was a little bit ago. Double check on that. All right, just ahead here, the Boy Scouts are no longer going to be the Boy Scouts.
This is so stupid.
Yeah, this is weird. I'll tell you about that right around 7:51 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hi, it's Bridget, Vision Leader for Thrive, and we love you. We truly honor all that you've done to make Missouri the brightest, most loving state in the nation for women facing an unplanned pregnancy. We need you now to help these little ones win Give St. Louis Day Championship for the 8th year in a row. These unborn children are so often devalued. One time a year we can shout, you matter in our city. Keep life #1 for Give St. Louis Day today, and you can give today for a double match. ThriveAliveSTL.org, ThriveAliveSTL.org.
Freedom isn't just a word, it should be a way of life for all Missourians.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
It's been such a long
A new brand in Scouting.
The Boy Scouts have a new brand.
Not just for boys anymore.
Scouting America. Hey! Boys and girls across the land. Hey! Commitment to inclusion. We welcome everyone. Yeah! Scouting America. Yeah! Campaign's got more fun.
Are you a parent of a scout itching to camp in tents? Hold your marshmallow. With crazy hormones and raging testosterone, it may not be the best idea because the great outdoors could be a hotbed for other kinds of wildlife.
Ooh la la.
Maybe it's time to go back to the good old days of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, where tents were made for camping.
Oh dear, I think we all know what that means.
Scouting America.
Yeah.
Making camping safe for everyone.
No way.
Yes way. Woo-hoo.
Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, you don't.
That's
you don't apologize. You're not sorry at all because that was funny.
What happens to my Thin Mints? I just want to know.
Oh my God. Well, here's what's funny is I was reading. Okay, so I looked up a couple articles. The Boy Scouts of America announced yesterday that they are rebranding. They are now just going to be Scouting America because it's going back like what 4 or 5 years now that girls could be join the Boy Scouts.
They've been making these moves.
Right. So this is not like it's a new thing. There are many girls who have earned the Eagle Scout rank, and they've been a part of the Boy Scouts now for a few years now. Matter of fact, I think there's a few that have like aged out, and now they're like Scoutmasters and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm reading the articles on this, and the statement is we're going to be more inclusive and this for everybody, all sort of thing. And it kind of dawned on me after I'd read my second article on this morning. There was no mention of the Girl Scouts whatsoever. It's like they don't exist.
Yeah.
And so I never really understood why young girls wanted to be in the Boy Scouts when you have the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, but it's different. The Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have different things. I was never a Boy Scout, so I'm not an expert on this. If you were through the process, let me know. 314-912-1019. Well, they were different. Apparently, Girl Scouts don't have like an Eagle Scout thing.
Okay. They don't have an equivalent to that.
I guess not. I don't know. I mean, I know they do a lot of the same stuff, but what the Girl Scouts did was different than the Boy Scouts did. And there were some girls that went, well, I'd rather do that. And so the Boy Scouts for years went, well, yeah, see, boys is kind of the operative thing here. And then they gave in. And of course, now keep in mind, here's what's really weird. This big announcement comes just after the Boy Scouts have agreed to settle for just millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars, the sexual abuse scandals that they have had.
Right.
So now they're basically saying, yep, go ahead and bring all the girls in.
Sure. Why not? That's going to make everything better.
Right.
All of these sexual harassment issues we've had before, they're gone now because we've got girls in the tents.
And Mike, like you mentioned, we seem to have seen the Girl Scouts on the girl side just disappear. Isn't that what we're seeing from the left totally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that at some point, if it's all just one thing, I mean, if you're the Girl Scouts, at some point, do you just say, well, why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, exactly. By the way, let me just respond to something that was said on Rumble here. Ed, no, the newest Scoutmaster is not going to be Dylan Mulvaney. I just want to put that out there, Ed. Let's just clear that up, okay? But yeah, I mean, but this is the thing that we had that soundbite from Sarah Huckabee Sanders earlier, talking about you fought for all these years for spaces for women and for
Title IX.
Opportunities for women, everything, and it's all being wiped out, you know, and by the left. And I don't know there's any politics involved with this, but there's definitely the cultural leftism.
Yes,
that's getting in there. They're saying, well, we just can't keep girls out. Well, you were the Boy Scouts, and there are the Girl Scouts, so. Yeah. What's the problem? I don't really have a dog in the fight because nobody in my family that I'm aware of was ever in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, or the Cub Scouts. I've
got some nephews in the Boy Scouts, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, so now it's just Scouting America.
Scouting America.
Somebody may say, what's the big deal? Maybe this is just the natural progression. I don't know. Maybe it is.
The natural progression towards what? Androgyny?
Yes.
Is that the world that we're looking to move towards? Because here's the problem. Boys only spaces and girls only spaces should exist. There should exist somewhere in our culture, in our various cultures, places where there are only boys and there are only girls. I mean, it may go back to the third grade or whatever, like no girls allowed, and you put the sign on your treehouse or whatever. But it is important for single sex environments to exist for various reasons that are all positive. There are lots of psychologists, psychiatrists who talk about the benefits of having single sex spaces. So look, come on. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
I heard almost that exact thing word from my wife.
Oh, yeah.
She is big on arguing for this. And from her perspective, it's to support and protect women.
Yes.
Because women want to get together. They have their own groups. Men have their own groups. Why not?
Well, apparently we're not going to be allowed to do that too much longer. I don't know. It's just a weird development, for me. But hey, they're the ones that have to pay the bills.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners' experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL, On a Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right, it's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. The Israeli military says it's reopened the Kerem Shalom crossing into Gaza, but a UN agency says no aid has yet entered. An Israeli tank brigade seized the nearby Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt early Tuesday. Despite differences with Israel over the Gaza war, President Biden says his support of the Jewish state is unwavering.
My commitment to the safety of the Jewish people, the security of Israel, and its right to exist as an independent Jewish state is ironclad, even when we disagree.
Mr. Biden used a Holocaust remembrance speech yesterday to condemn the recent rise in anti-Semitism. The May trial date for former President Donald Trump's classified documents case has been canceled.
The classified documents prosecution of former President Trump had been set to go to trial on May 20th, but the presiding judge has postponed it indefinitely. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon's order had been expected in light of still unresolved issues in the case, and because Trump is currently on trial in the New York hush money case. Trump faces dozens of felony counts accusing him of illegally hoarding classified documents he took with him when he left the White House at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, and then obstructing FBI efforts to get them back. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Ukraine's president says Russia has launched a massive nighttime attack on energy facilities across Ukraine, targeting 7 regions with more than 50 missiles and drones. 3 people, including an 8-year-old girl, were injured. U.S. and Philippine forces, backed by an Australian Air Force surveillance aircraft, have unleashed a barrage of high-precision rockets and sank a mock enemy ship as part of large-scale war drills in and near the disputed South China Sea. On Wall Street, Dow futures are down 71 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Factor pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A+ Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A+ has always done great work for a great price. A+ Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A+ for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A+ Plumbing and Drain.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Is the United States, through our administration, selling out our ally of Israel? That's the headlines that we're seeing right now. Also, we know the spending is completely out of control. The economy is teetering as we head into the election, and we still have all of the nonsense on various college campuses, and that violence seems to be amping up in some areas.
Oh, yeah.
And there's really a war going on with police from some of these leftists here. It's 8:05 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here, now joined by Congressman Mike Bost out of Illinois, of course. Congressman, good chat with you again. Let me start with all this campus nonsense. One campus, MIT, we've now got reports that the police cleared the encampment, and they were actually overrun by some of these demonstrators trying to reclaim their encampment. They ended up losing at George Washington University. There were a bunch of these demonstrators holding mock trials and declaring a death sentence on administrators for supporting Israel.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously, you see what's happened at the University of Chicago, and we've seen what's happened in other places, but we've got this anti-Semitic violence that's amping up and running out of control. Does the federal government have a role in this? And if not, or if so, either way, what should be done to stem this? Still allowing the dummies and the bigots to have their free speech rights, but to get control of this, because people are getting hurt, and I'm afraid it's going to get worse.
And that's just it, where you just said, Mike, that these woke, and the thing is, when they go in and bust these groups up, many of these people that are doing this, part of them are students, but part of them are just coming in and rebel routers. They're coming in to cause trouble, starting this stuff up. And once again, the college campuses have to take control. Our local police have to take control. This fueling of the anti-Semitic and hate. Look, this is exactly what happened back in the 1930s. And we got to wake up, and we've got to stop it now. Now, that doesn't mean we in this United States hold to the freedom of speech. We do. But freedom of speech, one, does not mean that you get to physically have contact to someone else and you can't take over somebody else's property. You can't cause someone else to be harmed in any way, even to the point that they can't have their graduation, even to the point they can't get to their studies. The University of Chicago and another university, which actually came out here with concerns to try to talk talk to the U.S. Congress, congressmen and women from the state of Illinois. It is unbelievable the threats that our Jewish students are getting. Friends they had are pulling away from them because they're afraid that, they're not Jewish, but all of a sudden now they're being threatened on campus. This has got to stop. This is, like I said, this is exactly the way this started in the 30s. And as far as the federal government is concerned, we will hold up for your freedom of speech, but we, no way should law enforcement or anyone else, especially our colleges and the heads of our colleges, say it's all right to destroy property, threaten people, do all these things. And where does this come from? And what is the problem with our instructors at our universities when all of a sudden they join in with this?
Good morning, Mike. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So we see the weakness in the executive people, the people in the executive positions to try and execute deal with these issues. Is there, and look, I'm the last person to say there ought to be a law, but is there a legislative role here to try and force some positive changes?
I think the legislative role is already there. Quite often we want to look for a new legislative fix. The problem is you need to enforce the existing laws. No law says you can come in and take over private property. No law says you can destroy that property. No law says you can. It is against the law to physically assault someone, and it is against the law to come in contact and physical contact with police officers. This is the laws are there. The problem is you've got to have a leader. Well, first off, you don't see Joe Biden denouncing this at all. I'm sorry, he's not. And here he claims to be a friend of Israel, but yet he allows this to continue to happen. I've been warned by the groups like AIPAC and the different groups that are in support of Israel, Christians in support of Israel, all of these, that this was coming because they would tell us that campuses are allowing this to happen. So the real issue is enforcement and then supporting those who enforce the law. And I'm going to tell you, when you have presidents of universities come before our committees and basically won't say that anti-Semitism is wrong and that's hate. However, could you imagine all of a sudden a group of skinheads coming to your campus? Now, the left would go nuts. They'd go nuts, and they should. But this is the exact same thing.
Congressman, speaking of Israel, we're now getting word that the Biden administration may be withholding weapons shipments to Israel as they're trying to finish off the job and finish off Hamas there. What do we know about that at this point? And if this is the case, what should be done? Because this seems like something that could be really dangerous to the whole region.
What the real problem is that Congress approved funding to help Israel and get it sent over there. The question is, does the administration then have the right to all of a sudden stop what Congress voted to do? And therein lies the problem. We sent a very clear message, that I was all for the splitting of the bill so that because if you'll notice, I did not support Ukraine funding, but it wasn't because I don't support Ukraine. I want to make sure there's more guidance in the money we send to Ukraine. But these are all things, once they're passed by law, and Biden signed it, okay, then he can't all of a sudden make a decision, hey, I'm going to use it as a tool. But see, he's had that problem all along, even as a senator, and before he was ever elected president, being confused on what his powers are and using his power and influence in these type ways. And so I think we need to make a very clear statement again on where we support Israel and how we support Israel. And we allow Israel to make their decisions on moving forward because they are our best ally, our most important ally, and they are also have a free nation where they can make decisions on what they want to do themselves.
Good morning, Mike. Stal Ponticus here.
Hey, Stal.
Spending in Washington continues at a rate of about $1 trillion
Oh, my gosh.
every 100 days. Are we ever going to see the spending train slow down?
Well, my hope is yes. Some of the spending is caused by what's going on around the world. One thing, we've got to calm down and truly start looking at this spending and looking at because once you shift it over to our mandatory spending costs are the things that are running amok. And we have to actually have a hard line conversation and try to deal with this. However, Bidenomics is making it worse when Americans are paying double the price for things. Everyone feels like they're earning the same, but their earnings are buying less all the time. Whether it's their mortgage, the price of gas, the real wage, and what it does, inflation, the way it's going on. It's more than $700 a month. For the average family spends more than $700 a month than they did 2 years ago. However, if you'll remember, prior to COVID, under the Trump policies, our GDP was climbing. So the way we reduce our overall debt is not by raising taxes. First off, we be very, very wise in our legislation when it spends, but we also increase the GDP. The fastest way to bring our debt down is, one, keep our spending under control, but increasing our GDP, because if we do that, that brings more money into the coffers and makes everything better all around. But we've got to have those conversations and sit down and really deal with it.
Mike, speaking of Trump policies, the Trump tax cuts are about to expire here. Are there any plans right now to keep those going, to renew them?
There is by the Republicans. So in 2025, it was when it comes to an end. So the tax relief that was so vitally important that was passed during the Trump era that truly is what stimulated that growth I was talking about, that where the GDP climbed and businesses were coming back and businesses were growing. The last thing we need to do is allow them to expire and actually increase taxes on the American people, because this is the only reason we actually put a date on when those tax levels would expire was because of a thing called the CBO. That's how we actually, when we move forward with a bill, it has to have what's known as a budget score, okay? And the budget score was very, very high because CBO doesn't calculate like you and I calculate our budget in our homes. It won't show you that you're doing any savings. It doesn't give you credit back for all of a sudden the economy growing. So that's why we had to put the end of the tax reform bill on local, or not local, on the individual tax break, okay? So we've got to actually go in and pass it. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, you need to understand what those taxes coming back on are going to do to the family household and how it will hurt it if we don't put them back in place. Congressman, is there a worry maybe among your colleagues on the other side of the aisle to say, well, wait a minute, if we renew these, then we're admitting that they worked, and then that could give the Republicans a campaign issue? I mean, is the campaign, the looming campaign, maybe part of the reason that we could lose out on these tax cuts? The case, but I'm sure that there's other colleagues on the side. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle are so not wanting to give credit to the fact that the Republicans, when they did this, along with Donald Trump, that it was a good thing. Because trust me when I tell you, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle believe we can tax our way out of anything, and that's just a fact. And they, if they admit that, first off, that Reaganomics works, or Trumponomics, or whatever works, and that the Republican ideas are right, if you give somebody, or you let somebody keep more of their money, they're going to actually invest more, and actually we're going to generate more money, because though the taxes are less, when they have more money, you're taxing more dollars. And so, but that would mean they'd have to admit that. And in admitting that, they would realize that an individual's freedom is more important than government programs. All right, Congressman Mike Bost, if people want to follow what you're doing there in Congress, get in touch, especially your district in Illinois, what's the way to do it? Right. Mike Bost at congress.com. All right, great to talk to you again, Congressman. Thank you. Thanks, Thank you. Thank you for putting me on. All right, 314-912-1019. I mean, that's one of the things I thought of is if you renew the tax cuts, then aren't you admitting that they were good for the economy? Aren't you admitting that they were popular? Mm-hmm. Because we're back to the old pay your fair share thing. That's what the Biden administration has pulled out. These rich people aren't paying their fair share, even though rich people are paying most of the taxes in America. All right, what do you think? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh, hey. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, here we go. One small step for school choice in Missouri. And as we just discussed with Congressman Mike Bost, the Biden administration is becoming a checkpoint for weapons going to Israel. And the Cardinals get a bad break last night, not just in the final score.
No, literally a bad
break on this. Yep. All right. By the way, that conversation with Congressman Mike Bost is going to be posted on our podcast here in just a few hours or so. So if you haven't subscribed to that already, you may want to do that. Anywhere you get your podcast, we be there. So just look up News Talk STL and please subscribe there. That's a good one to help share with other people. And by the way, I made the mistake of looking at the social media like towards the very end of the conversation. So thank you for everybody who submitted some questions. I just forgot to look at them. There were some good ones in there that I really kind of wish I'd asked, although we covered a lot of ground with the congressman. Okay, school choice advances in Missouri. Governor Mike Parson signed 2 education bills into law on Tuesday. One of those is that expansion of the Most Scholars program. That bill also allows charter schools in Boone County, which is where Columbia is, an increase in the minimum teacher salaries and incentives to keep classes going 5 days a week were also part of the new laws as well. So it was really kind of an edu omnibus bill is what it turned into, with some things that were good and some things I could take or leave. Some other things I really wish weren't in there, but it is a step forward for school choice. And so now conservatives start putting the pressure on your conservative lawmakers and candidates. What are you going to do to expand school choice again next year? And what they're going to hear is, you want me to go to war with the education establishment again? And the answer is
yes.
Yes.
And every time. And the time after that, and the time after that, and the time after that.
Precisely.
This is 1st and 10. We have not made a goal yet.
Great way to put it. All right. Senate Republicans criticizing the Biden administration for withholding weapons shipments to Israel. Good God. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham was on Jesse Waters last night on Fox. He says, if this turns out to be true, which apparently it is, it represents a dangerous turn in the policy of this country.
If Biden has, in fact, restricted weapons, put a hold on weapons to Israel to defend itself, or withheld ammunition, that is a strategic mistake for the ages. It makes terrorists more likely to keep fighting.
We're getting more information on this today. We know there's a pretty high-level meeting between Biden administration officials and Israeli officials as well. The White House says, no, our support for Israel is, in Karine Jean-Pierre's words, ironclad, but they now, according to some reports that are being put on the cable news, they are confirming, they're claiming to confirm that the Biden administration is withholding some of these arms shipments at least until after that meeting later this week. This is a dangerous precedent, but here's part of what Karine Jean-Pierre said about this yesterday.
We have been very clear from here about our concerns about a major operations. We have been very clear from here about protecting civilians.
Okay, so we've got the Biden administration that is just desperate, it seems, Gabe, to want to get in and micromanage and control Israel's military operations. Israel is literally working to survive right now, and they know how to win, and they are winning. The idea that we could possibly slow down supplies and hamstring their ability to defeat their enemy, to me, is just infuriating.
Yeah, that iron cladding looks a lot more like aluminum foil right now.
It does at the moment, that's for sure. All right, Sarah, what else is going on? Oh, yeah, this is a good one. The city's chapter of the NAACP here in St. Louis complaining about state auditor Scott Fitzpatrick. This one's
Right.
golden.
So what did he do? What did Scott Fitzpatrick do to get the NAACP all hot and bothered?
Well, he says we want to complete this audit of the circuit attorney's office that the city asked for in 2018.
Okay.
And we'd like to finish that, but we need Kimberly Gardner to testify under oath and do not really a deposition, but do an interview. And they've tried to subpoena her because they can't find her anywhere.
Oh, okay. So they won her side of the story.
Yeah.
But she gone.
Yes. And
Okay.
so NAACP chapter president Adolphus Pruitt did an interview with Channel 4 last night, and he says it's unwarranted and unprofessional to talk about former circuit attorney Kimberly Gardner like, in his words, she is a wanted criminal. Basically, he's upset that they're talking down about Kimberly Gardner because Scott Fitzpatrick came to St. Louis and said, I know you're going to see this. Do the right thing. Get in touch. By the way, if you know where she is, let us know.
Well, that's what happens when you go missing.
Yeah, exactly.
And the government wants to find you.
And so the NAACP is mad about the disrespect to Kimberly Gardner.
Mm-hmm. And the NAACP guy makes the comment about, well, show the auditor shut up.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he's trying to do is get the audit done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like saying, say it to my face while in hiding.
Yes.
It's like, what am I supposed to do?
Oh, my goodness. Now, remember, the auditor's office is trying to interview Kimberly Gardner as part of the investigation into her mishandling of all the criminal caseload, including how the spending was done, how staffing was done, and her violation of the law regarding how she spent her working hours.
Yep.
I mean, these are things the Attorney General investigated that led to her resignation. Here's what I don't get, guys, is that, the NAACP obviously is going to be tuned in to anything that affects black people in St. Louis City. That's literally their job. That's why they exist.
That's what they're supposed to be doing.
What's the problem here? I understand Kimberly Gardner is black, but she was replaced by another circuit attorney who is black, who just happens to be, competent and has integrity.
Well, it's standard Democrat / leftist sort of thinking in that, if they're on your side, you have to protect them at all costs. And you just, with the NAACP, you just have that added necessity that they be black also.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that you didn't lose any ground.
Yeah, there's no reason to actually make this fight.
Yeah.
To have this fight, except for, I guess, they're just looking for things to complain about because there's not much else.
It's not,
I don't know.
It's not like they hired Bob McCullough to come be the city circuit attorney. I mean, it's not like they brought in a ringer.
Yeah,
that's not what happened.
Not even a black conservative.
No,
right? So they lost 0 ground. So you got me, Mike. I don't know why they're fighting this fight.
Just seems like a silly fight to pick on their part. Okay, at least 15 states, including Missouri, not Illinois, are suing the Biden administration over the new rules of Title IX. And of course, the new rules will really put a focus on the whole trans thing. Those states who are suing say the expansion is going to harm female athletes by allowing gender-confused men. This drives me nuts. The news copy here says they say the expansion would harm female athletes by allowing transgender women to participate. No such thing as transgender women.
That's not a thing.
These are men who are pretending. These are men who are mentally ill. So by allowing mentally ill men to participate in women's sports as their identified gender as opposed to their real gender. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas, which is one of the states involved in the lawsuit, was on Fox's America Reports, saying not only is this bad for women and girls, but it all comes down to Joe Biden.
He is letting our women, something that I feel like people have fought for decades, to provide fairness in girls' sports, opportunities and scholarships, protection for our young athletes. And all of a sudden, they're erasing all of that and putting our daughters in harm's way.
Unless a court intervenes, the new rules go into effect August 1st. Department of Education saying any school that does not bow the knee, does not comply, can and probably will lose federal funding. So this is a really heavy-handed, very serious attempt to impose this extremist gender ideology on pretty much everybody.
And their edict was about 15,000 pages.
Oh, jeez.
And we're giving you, 3.5, 4 months to get it all figured out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What a joke.
I would love to see the separation of the federal government and education in this country. This is one of the reasons.
Yeah.
All right. The Cardinals lost the game, but they also lost their catcher. The Mets picked up a 7-5 win over the Redbirds at Busch Stadium. But the bigger story here is that Wilson Contreras will be on the disabled list for quite a while. He suffered a fracture to his left arm after getting hit with JD Martinez's bat. In addition to being the catcher, Contreras is really pretty much our top offensive player, which doesn't happen all the time. He leads the team in several offensive stats. He's got 25% of the team's home runs. Now, part of that is the reason is our home run hitters are not hitting home runs, but Wilson Contreras has been. Cardinals and the Mets play this afternoon at 12:15 to wrap up the series. Cardinals have lost 4 in a row. If they don't win today, they will be swept in this series at home.
You know, the Cardinals don't need another issue like this.
No. I mean, Ivan Herrera is an up-and-coming catcher. I like him. But Wilson Contreras has proven to be the right guy for the job, just as Yadier Molina told us.
A lot of people are calling the season. What do you guys think?
I'm close to it. Yeah, I'm close to it. Even though numerically it's not even close to being over, the Cardinals are showing that they're a disaster right now. They've got to right the ship. I don't know that they've got it in them. We'll see. I'll hold out hope. I don't know. We'll see. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-941 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
After a beautiful start, destructive thunderstorms are possible today. We expect those storms to come in a couple of waves from late this morning into the afternoon, ending this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, even a strong tornado possible, up to about 83 for our high. And then dry and partly cloudy tonight, we drop down to near 60. Finally, the pattern breaks tomorrow. We're partly cloudy, we're cooler. Thursday's high at 73. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
News commentary.
The Chicago Teachers Union is making big demands, including an extra $50 billion for wage hikes, fully paid abortions for members, and more money for illegal immigrants. What part of this benefits students? I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The elites want more control through digital currencies in a cashless society. This is Stephen K. Bannon, and I believe gold is the answer to safeguard your wealth, especially if you own your gold inside of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SHELTER to the number 989898 to claim your free info kit today.
Message and data rates may apply.
The almighty teachers' unions have a stranglehold on Democrat politicians, and they know it. That's why the Chicago Teachers Union is making some big demands. According to a leaked memo, the union is not only demanding an extra $50 billion to accommodate a 9% wage hike, but also 100% health care coverage for abortions, fertility services, and storage of embryos. But there's more. For some odd reason, the Chicago Teachers Union is also reportedly earmarking $2,000 to be handed to illegal immigrants to fund academic needs, transportation, and mental health counseling. And of course, mandated LGBTQ training as a qualification in their job description. Folks, I think it's quite evident that the teachers union, like most teachers unions nationwide, does not exist to better the academic environment for students. They are liberal activists. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Honesty, integrity, humility, purpose. We're looking for people that share these values. As an officer in the Springfield, Missouri Police Department, you'll train in a state-of-the-art facility, learn special skills, and most importantly, learn that being humble through it all builds a better community. Our next training academy starts soon. Work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft, and I promise you'll have some amazing opportunities. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
This is what's happening.
The Middle East is on the brink.
It has the potential for a huge escalation.
This is a serious threat. We're watching it very, very closely.
101.9 and 94.1.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I want to follow up on something you just said. Was that on the air or was that during the information session?
A little bit of both. I mentioned that I've been hearing some people calling the season.
Right.
And then I think after we got off the air for the minute there, I mentioned that I'd seen also an article about that asked the question, what did the Cardinals do to lose their fan base?
That's huge.
That's
okay.
Gigantic.
And this isn't just about baseball because obviously we're not a sports talk station.
Right, that's not it.
But you can't separate out the Cardinals from St. Louis.
Right.
From as in St. Louis, the whole region, as far
St. Louis
as
culture.
how we identify ourselves.
Yes.
I mean, the Cardinals Nation's like a real thing.
It's like Toasted Ravs and Cardinal Nation.
8:37 right now, but we have, discarded parts of at least partially discarded parts of what identifies St. Louis. I mean, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you would have said St. Louis culture is all about Cardinals, Blues, Toasted Rav, Budweiser. Oh, wait.
Was that the first domino to fall?
Not as much before. Okay, but let me follow up. And this is kind of calling an audible here. By the way, it's 8:37 right now. I'm Mike, Gabe here. Got Stell here. The number is 314-912-1019 because it's not even just a sports story because I've seen like what you saw or some of these articles saying the Cardinals are losing their base.
Yes.
Fans aren't showing up in the numbers that we usually do. That's big. Cardinals fans are very, very proud of knowing the game, being a baseball community, sticking with your team through thick and thin. Stell, you could probably relate to this as a Cubs fan.
Yes, I can.
Now Wrigley Field is a much smaller stadium than Busch Stadium, but the Cubs could be having the worst year ever, and they're still going to pretty much fill up the stadium.
They'll still get 35,000 every game.
Right. The Cardinals used to be that way. You're already seeing decreased attendance with the Cardinals. Something's happened that people are giving up on the Cardinals for the season. Now, I've only been to one game. Usually by now I've been to several.
Right.
And I've only been to one. And I'm like, I'll get around to it. I get around to it. Now, the injury to Wilson Contreras last night is a big blow to the team on the field. And by the way, if you're wondering what happened, here was the call that aired on Bally Sports Network last night. This is how he got hurt.
Swing and a miss. That got a piece of Contreras on the big backswing. And oh boy, you worry about the left elbow and the left hand. And Contreras sees that left hand go numb.
Once again, that's from Bally Sports. Now, the one mistake they made is they thought that was on the backswing, as in after J.D. Martinez from the Mets had swung all the way through. And then a minute later, they do commentary on seeing the replay. And again, this is from Bally Sports.
We know the punishment that Contreras has taken this year behind the plate. One of the toughest guys that we've seen. And we'll see this one here. The backswing catches him right in the wrist, upper forearm area there. Oh, man.
Okay, once again, that wasn't the backswing. That was he was swinging at the ball, and Contreras got in the way. So J.D. Martinez was way back in the batter's box. For some reason, Wilson Contreras was way up way up, and he got hit as he was swinging forward.
And then to add appropriately insult to injury, you get awarded first base for catcher interference.
And it was catcher's interference.
Boy.
That was the right call.
That's how the rule goes.
I'm a catcher. I've done that. Usually what happens is they clip your mitt. And I've had that a couple times. I actually haven't had very many catchers of interferences, and I've been catching since like 1978 or 79 or something like that. So I've been a catcher a long time. It doesn't happen often, but in this case right here, the bigger story is this is one of your best hitters. This is the guy that Yadier Molina himself said, "I want to succeed me and be the anchor of this team." So you've got some of our best players not performing. Paul Goldschmidt is not having a good year. Nolan Arenado's heating back up. He's just a very, very steady player defensively, one of the best third basemen of all time, in my opinion. And his hitting is coming around. Paul Goldschmidt, I don't know what's going on with him there.
Tommy Edmonds out.
Tommy Edmonds is out. We've had a lot of injuries, but people aren't mad about the injuries. If it were just a matter of the injuries, I think fans are still showing up at 42, 43, 45,000 on a weeknight.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's not what's happening. That's not even happening on weekends.
Yeah.
There were some games like 33, 36,000 on a weekend in recent weeks. That's
true.
The fans abandoning the team. Are they abandoning the team, or is the front office, is the organization not living up to the expectations? It takes a lot to make St. Louis Cardinals fans mad at such a huge institution in our community.
I think we've built up, and I think rightfully so, as St. Louisans, a reputation among pretty much all the sports that we have, that this is basically the best area. This is the best place to be as a player, because the fans are so awesome. It's the best place to have a franchise. Screw you, Cronky. Because we're all in. We're all in on our sports teams.
Now, here's another part of this. Lunch Lady and Blues Nut both pointing out that there's just simply a safety issue going downtown. And you can't discount that.
That's true.
Now,
especially in terms of the attendance numbers.
Especially at night.
Yes.
Well. I mean, I've made the decision. I just don't go into the city. I don't go downtown at night anymore.
Same.
I just don't. Now, during the daytime, okay, I'm still willing to go in, but the public safety issue, the crime issue, the violence issue is absolutely a factor in this as well.
Because you have to be honest, when you turn on the local news at 5, 6, and 10, what usually leads? It's something that's happened essentially in the downtown area. Some type of crime in the downtown area.
Just yesterday alone, another murder, another shooting murder, and another pedestrian run over in a hit and run. Murder on north side, traffic insanity on south side. I mean, that's just what we see over and over and over again. And downtown, of course, is having, the traffic craziness as well. So all of it comes together. So when we're talking about, defunding the police, when we're talking about understaffing the police, when we're talking about, the Cardinals in the front office and not wanting to spend the money to be competitive in Major League Baseball, because the accusation is, well, they're just going to take the fans for granted. We're not going to spend any more in our payroll than we have to. Fans are going to show up and buy tickets and buy beer and buy jerseys and everything else. And the fans at this point are like, you know what? I'm literally putting myself into a high crime area just to get to you.
Yeah.
You're raising prices along with inflation, with everything else. Ballpark Village is fun.
And I'm sure the ownership looks at that and goes, hey, we gave you a beautiful place in Ballpark Village along with the stadium that you have. But unfortunately, Ballpark Village has really crushed a lot of businesses downtown.
Oh, it did. See, I'm glad you brought it. That's one things everybody forgets is all of those, because there were a lot of special taxing districts and public incentives and things that went into Ballpark Village. And so it's one thing if a developer just built it there and it just wins out in the competition, but go a couple blocks outside of Ballpark Village.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to see? A lot of boarded up buildings where restaurants used to be, diners used to be, other businesses used to be. Okay, so if they just lost because the business went to Ballpark Village, that's one thing. But remember, special taxing districts and kind of cronyism helped pay for that as well. So there's good and there's bad that comes with that. It's great if you're on the winning side of it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And Ballpark Village, it is fun.
You know what? And I'm afraid the same thing may happen in Chicago around Wrigley Field.
Yeah, Wrigleyville.
Because the Ricketts family is building up that area similar to what Ballpark Village has, because I'm sure they look at Ballpark Village here and think, hey, We could do that around Wrigley. And I'm wondering how much it's affecting the businesses around Wrigley Field.
Well, in Kansas City wanted to do that, and the voters
said no.
The voters said no.
Nah, bruv.
But now here's what's interesting, though, is the state of Kansas is jumping all over this, and they're essentially, I'm being told by some of the people that I've worked with over the years over there, there's an organization that's kind of similar to the Show Me Institute. They're called the Kansas Policy Institute. They say that basically the state of Kansas is about to offer the Kansas City Chiefs a free stadium.
Really?
Whoa.
And trying to get the Kansas City Chiefs over into Johnson or Wyandotte County, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
And so the state of Missouri could end up without an NFL team altogether. Kansas City would still have one, but on the Kansas side of this. And if that's what they do, then I say good riddance.
Well, sure. Yeah, at that point, yeah, whatever.
You know, you've got our state budget in Missouri. They're wanting to spend millions of dollars on a women's soccer stadium in Kansas City. Government should not be funding any of these stadiums whatsoever.
Not at all.
Busch Stadium at least was mostly built with private money, and now we're hearing that they may come with their hat in hand asking for a public handout. But when you've got a fan base that's upset with the team because they're not, at least a lot of fans believe, not trying to win, not spending the money, mismanaging. There's a lot that people are frustrated with, and they say, oh, by the way, can we have tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to spruce up our stadium? It's not a good look.
No, not at all. And the thing is, you know, because of the safety issue, right? Because of the bad regulations, because of the onerous business taxation and all these other things, the city has been emptying out for years. We're now, you know, a small market instead of the huge market we used to be. And so all of these businesses now are competing for dwindling dollars.
Right.
Because, you know, it would be a different story if St. Louis were booming, if St. Louis was even modestly increasing in population, because that means there are more dollars circulating in the area. But by doing this thing with a diminishing population, diminishing tourism, essentially, because, you know, people from outside the city aren't coming into the city very much anymore, the ballpark villages of the area are just pulling the too few dollars that there are to go around from one place and moving it to another. It's not actually increasing any sort of activity overall.
And it's really frustrating to look at cities like Nashville, Columbus, Indianapolis, and these other, I would have to say, medium market cities, and St. Louis is becoming a medium market city.
We're right
now.
on the verge of large and medium.
Yeah, so you look at those cities, and they're having rapid growth and improvements everywhere, and we're frustrated looking at our city and wondering, okay, what's going on? Why is there nothing happening here?
You can make statistics and numbers say pretty much anything you want.
Yeah.
However, there's one thing that's undeniable. St. Louis used to be a top 10 city in population.
Yes, top 10.
Top 10 in the country.
Which is amazing.
St. Louis, the actual city, the population, and I point this out from time to time, the actual population of the city of St. Louis is smaller than the actual population of the city of Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, my.
Which is wild to me.
Yeah, Wichita, Kansas. Bigger than the city of St. Louis.
And it's so amazing how all this is tied together. You know, the dwindling fandom, or the fandom of St. Louis baseball starting to sort of pull back from it, in part because of some of this stuff with the city.
And you only have to go back to 1950. The city had over 800,000 residents. And here we are in 2024, and we're under 300,000.
That's right.
Man,
and
that's
it's not changing.
No.
And this is what happens when you have complete mismanagement, and I'm not just talking about the Cardinals front office.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. The reason we're asking this question, how did the Cardinals lose their fandom? It's all management. Bad management in the front office and bad management in City Hall.
Yeah, I mean, our visitors, they get to St. Louis, they want to go to a game, or they want to go to a play, or they want to go to a concert, and they're going to drive by all of the zombies. Outside, right there off of 16th Street or whatever the case is. They're going to drive by City Hall with the tent city that's on there,
and the boarded up stores that used to be in these various areas, the deserted streets.
They're going to turn around and head back out, as they should.
Yep.
When I've got friends who are coming to town, I warn them, don't go there.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Asking a local as a visitor, hey, what should I do? It's like, well, first of all, don't go at night. Yeah. That's the first thing you hear from the locals. So what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. Are the Cardinals losing their base? Just baseball terminology. Are they losing their base? Are they losing the fans this year? Is something different now than in other bad years? I think maybe there is.
give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it, and the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Israel invades Rafah. Yes, there are civilian casualties, but Israel is intent on destroying Hamas.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
No, there is not. It's like, you that's a trap.
It is a trap.
That's a trap.
I know. Yeah. And
there's some questions that our wives ask us. They're absolute traps.
You know what? Okay, so since we got caught in a hot mic here, let me
Admiral Akbar.
Okay,
it's
so
a trap.
That's right. My wife is on a. I don't think she's landed yet. She's in a plane somewhere over the ocean right now. She's going to be in Italy for a couple weeks, and so it's a trip that she's been planning for a long time. She's very, very excited about it. It's actually turned out to be a great thing. She, as you know, teaches at, she's an assistant dean and a professor at Concordia University of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was over the weekend. By the way, we can announce this now. She actually just got tenure.
Woo!
Yes. And Concordia University of Chicago, in case you were wondering if there are any conservative universities left that won't even tolerate the nonsense, this is one of them.
Yeah, there is one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually
that one.
I was actually chatting with their dean of students on Friday, and we were talking about how awkward it is for her because every once in a while a student comes into the student life office and they're going to say, "I want to start an LGBT club," and they went, "Not on this campus." They don't even allow it.
That's a hard no.
They don't. I mean, they still try to be loving and everything, but they won't allow that. So there are still universities that
we don't do that here.
Where they don't do that. So that's where my wife teaches. And so she's going this trip with Italy. And so what's happening is the university president and my wife and a couple other top, it's a couple of the deans and a couple of the students, and they've organized this trip where they are going to be in Sicily and Italy, and literally they're doing a basically very large scale walking, moving Bible study of from some of the locations where they're tracing the steps of Paul.
Oh, cool.
I mean, that's literally the first half of what she's doing. And then her and her son are going to peel off and they're going to go do their own thing because she promised him, a trip out of the country for when he finished high school.
That's great. And let me just say, this is a good time of the year to go over there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're working your way towards the end of May, that's fine. But then when you hit June, July, August, you're going to be roasting over there. And then September, on through the rest of the year, you're fine. So she picked a good time of year to go. Nice.
So here's where we got into the hot mic moment where I got trapped. So I was up in I was Chris Harps filled in for me on Monday because I was driving back from Chicago. My wife and I drove up Friday because we had all the, graduation stuff she had to attend and everything there. But she's leaving. She left directly from Chicago. And my brother, who lives in Naperville, is moving next week to New England. And so I'm like, if I want to see these family members, I need to go up there for the weekend or else I'm not going to see them for a while. Mm-hmm. And so my wife and I are in our Airbnb and we're just chatting about the trip and what she's looking forward to and what she's nervous about and all this. And then she traps me with this question. She goes, man, we're going to be walking everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm only saying this because I'm almost positive she's not listening. And she goes, that's going to be a lot of walking. And, she goes, I might actually, lose a couple pounds. She goes, wouldn't that be great? Now, my wife is, first of all, my wife is not overweight. Okay. Right. My wife is not, she's just not. But I'm there going, there is no good way to answer this question without getting in trouble.
No, not one.
Yeah. You guys have seen my wife is a very attractive woman. And so I'm here going, I don't care what I answer. There is a chance I could mess this up. I am a communications expert with a degree in communications who talks for a living, and I am scared to death of this question.
Because sleeping on the couch isn't something I want to do.
No.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, seriously, because whenever you get these questions, and I don't know how they come up with them. I think it's maybe a natural defense. Yeah. It's kind of like how roses have thorns. Women have trap questions, and so
and she didn't mean to.
And of course, they don't mean. I don't think they do this maliciously. I think this is just a natural outgrowth of how their brains work, which is contrary to the way our brains work. So then now we have to navigate this. It's like, okay, well, if I say this, then it goes here, and if I say this, right, then it goes there. If I completely outright lie, she's gonna say, "Why are you lying to me?" So I'm screwed. I'm screwed. So that's when you just clam up and you change the subject.
Which is exactly what I did.
Now, if we find out her next book is going to be titled "Trap Questions,"
yes,
well that might be a different story. It's like
Trap Questions from a Christian conservative philosopher.
That actually sounds fun.
Yeah, for you, because you're not married to her.
I'm not married to her.
Yeah, that's right. Why it sounds fun to you. All right, Vic Porcelli, speaking of fun, going to be with us here at around 9:05 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
So perhaps my work here is done. Perhaps it's time that I moved on to a place where there's stuff to do. Stuff to do.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom